Shotgun start in golf is full of mathematics. There's a lot of setup work that we have to do in order to make a tournament work. So I'm going to demonstrate to you just exactly how we do a shotgun start here.
Here we go.
All right, all right, all right. Gentlemen, start your engine!
Greetings and welcome to a Sunday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is April 12th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, it is Victory Monday for our gambling pod.
On the board, you went, you kind of okey-doked, you deked us into a Rory pick on the preview podcast. You went there. Congrats to you. Pound for that. We're 2 for 2. Now we've gone back to back. There's all sorts of. I picked Rory last year. You picked Rory this year. There's a notion that Rory hasn't won a Masters since PJ Clark joined the Shotgun Start Friday at Golf Enterprises. There's all sorts of good trends going right now. We have 2 fabulous Masters in a row. It was another awesome Sunday.
Different Sunday.
It's different, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly way more out in the open. We're going to dive right into it. We're going to bring in boys. We're going to bring in men like Kevin Van Valkenburg, who's who's writing for tomorrow morning. When you say different, very different. I think when we started this podcast last year, we were like exhausted on the floor with just the roller coaster of emotion, like always the worst loss, the greatest win. Everything, the way the day started, it was already an incredible story before we ever hit a shot. Today, it felt like really scrambled. I didn't know where to necessarily start. I watched a lot of it on the early stuff on television in the media center. Started with Rose, kind of went up to Scotty, fell back to Rory by 13. It was really open there and a totally different Sunday.
Yeah, I went out with Scotty to start, and I obviously the shot. I mean, things are going to be lost to the tournament. The shot he hit on one was absolutely disgusting,
dirty from the
trees.
straw.
Yeah. And it's like he starts out with a birdie, and you're like, oh, he's going. Then all of a sudden, you get Rose going, and Rory falls back. I mean, I was jumping around, and I had to take a pause, go into the press center, and just regroup, and just take a lens of everything going on. And, I kind of regrouped and went back out for the back nine. The magic of Augusta National is that it is just this, it's such a great chaser's course because
Sure.
If you are chasing, you can really hit shots and score. But then also, it's the hardest course to play with a lead. And we've seen that. We saw that obviously with Rory all weekend. I feel like the psychology of how you play the golf course, and Scotty talked about it in his post-round press conference. It's a hard place to play with a lead. It's a hard place to play with a big lead because you get a little bit more defensive. And the second you get a little more defensive, you just bring in the bigger numbers, while other guys that are chasing can play a little bit, notch up that aggressiveness. And we saw it all today where – slow start for Rory, and it looked like for a second it was just going to be Cameron Young's show, and then we get Rose and Scotty surging up the leaderboard, and you think, okay, it's going to be, maybe it's Rose's time.
When Rose went to 12, it was like, all right, well, it's his time. The fans seem to rally around that, smartest fans in golf, the whole thing, really, really rallying around Rose. When he went to 12, all right, guy's been a hard luck bridesmaid a couple times. The wounds from 25 were still fresh, and it felt like it was going to be Rose's to lose. You talked about chasing and leading. Rory now has great experience doing both in each Sunday. He's been a leader. He's been a chaser. He's defended the lead at the end a couple times now, won it in a playoff. He's kind of done everything. I was rewatching his every shot or every hole at Augusta this morning, just kind of prepping. And he had this great quote at the the 10-minute mark about of that video about experience. He's like, look, I felt like I've had a ton of experiences at that course, both good and bad, played in a bunch, multiple final groups, and, kind of had seen it all. And all of those have, boiled into that journey that he had last year. And it's just, I don't know, it keeps building on itself. This was a very different sort of, it was almost, the 18th was not that release, right? I think the very special aspect of it was his parents being there, and we'll talk about that. But it was sort of, because he put it to 2 inches, right? And it's just this tap in. It was a very different kind of release and different kind of Sunday, but another incredible experience he puts in the bucket for next year even. And we're not going to get to that now, but what a odd feel. I mean it not in a derogatory way. It was sort of an odd Masters for him, right? It wasn't always his best stuff, and it certainly didn't feel like he was going to win an hour and a half, 2 hours into it at all. And then by 14, it was like, I don't think anyone's going to touch him. It was a really different dynamic than last year.
I mean, the golf course was really hard today.
Oh, I don't know. We're going to have to do we need to talk about the golf course?
I don't
We're told
know.
Augusta National needs to be
The analytics people that were
prison.
sitting on their couch might have other takes, but I thought, the thing that was there today that wasn't there the previous 2 days,
a little wind.
The wind.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting as just somebody that's going around the grounds is you'd get into certain spots where you wouldn't feel anything and be really hot.
Yep.
Then you get up on a ridge and you'd be like, whoa, it's really blowing out here. And it was gusty. I don't think it was necessarily consistently steady. And I think that's when that golf course plays the trickiest, obviously, because you're having to trust these numbers and the targets are so small. And I think that's what explains nobody really getting it going sustained all day. You could see people okay, they'd hit a couple good shots and then it's you just get there and then it's you can't hit that high level shot and maybe you misjudge the wind. And the thing about Augusta, especially when it gets firm, and it was pretty firm today, it was obviously very firm on Thursday. The targets are so tiny. Mm-hmm. And then if you add in wind that's a little unpredictable and you're missing the target by 1 or 2 yards. I mean, the perfect example was the six hole. I mean, that back right corner was damn near impossible. Justin Rose hit a great shot in there, but everybody else was either coming up short, some would go long, and it was
Rory got jammed by a wind there.
Yeah.
That was all wind. I mean, Trevor on the broadcast I was watching, he's that was a good shot. That was all wind. That changed on.
And I think you saw it too is hitting it, Cam's shot into 15. A moment where he needed to make an eagle or a birdie there. Mm-hmm. And he had a really good shot into 15. It was downwind, and that green's firm, and it just bounced through. But I think that wind particularly made it really hard to sustain great scoring today. And I think that's why we saw this, this jammed up leaderboard, and just so many different moments where you're this guy's going to win. This guy's going to win. Mm-hmm. This guy's going to win. The good news was, there was one group in there that, we didn't have to watch, I felt was the Lowry Burns group.
Joseph and I know other podcasts are going to talk about this in the first 10 minutes. Joseph and I were workshopping some takes. The Masters used to not put tee times out by score necessarily. They would put Jack or the lead, the stars, Bob Jones would be somewhere in the middle. He was like, dude, they just need to send those guys to the front and tell them to play 5 holes, make it an even 72, pull Burns and Lowry off the course. Houghton just causing an all-out traffic jam backup, which I was there for.
Houghton's round was
killing me at 13. Didn't know the rules. Started picking. He's in the red stakes, just picking the ball up. Incredible,
Did you see his shot on one?
Scotty. No, I didn't see it on one. What did he do?
He piped a drive and then he laid sod on a wedge. I have in my notes.
Houghton Lee. Did you come for Houghton Lee in the first 10 minutes?
I have in my notes. Houghton Lee. So Scotty's in the trees. Houghton's right in the fairway. Scotty has this insane shot.
Yeah.
And Houghton just lays sod. He ends up. It lands 15 yards short of the putting surface. He had a wedge. I mean, he had a wedge in. It's a 2-shot swing on the first hole, and I've just put Sheriff makes the Hautog arrest on hole 1.
You're writing put the police puns in your notebook. I love that. No, I mean there were just guys in the way there, but it was
But I
sort
saw
of
Hautog was
tough to
even
track.
on 16. I don't even know what he ended at.
Oh, maybe in the top 40. He might not have been in the top 40.
God.
Lamagna and I were just like, you got to pull him out of there. I was going to say about the wind. That was the only moment at 13. I went up to catch Scotty and ended up with 20 minutes of Houghton Lee ruling. And I was just like, what am I doing with my time right now? And that was the only moment. It was I thought it was going to be a boiler, quite frankly. But the wind for us made it quite pleasant. I thought it was a pleasant evening on the hot side. But there was absolute wind present. It was kind of pleasant, breezy for us. The only time it got hot was when I was down there on 13 just waiting for Houghton Lee to hack it on the boat. I was like, this is so still. I'm getting hot right now. But it was a great day.
The thing about the
wind.
day is there's and obviously everybody watching, you probably felt this frenetic pace and everything. On the ground, it's like we have to make calls about like where we're going, and it's just like I found myself on the front 9 just pulled a million directions. I'm like looking at the board, I'm like, oh, I gotta go there, and that's why I had to call timeout. I had to go back to the press center, and I watched all the shots of the people in the mix, and I was like, okay, now I feel like I've got a clear head. I actually know what's going on, and going back out there.
I felt scrambled at times. I'll say we'll get through this in our notes. I felt like this. You get lucky sometimes. I feel like I had like 4 or 5 instances today where I was like, God, I'm so happy I'm on the ground. Like I got the goods. And we'll get like whether I was walking with Faldo, being next to Rory on 18. The range scene, quite frankly, was some of the best scene I've ever gotten with he and Cam. The wind stuff, though, I noticed it especially with Rose. I think that really jammed him. Like, all of a sudden, he was backing off his ball, like, nonstop at 10, 11, like, it 12,
17,
12
he
is
backed off it.
Yeah, it really it started there around like 9 when he took the lead, when he quite frankly went to 12, and it was gusting and swirling a little bit, and he just got quickly uncomfortable and fell off, obviously, or just couldn't push the pace anymore. We should talk about Rory McIlroy probably.
Yeah.
Do we want to go legacy? We want to talk about his specific day today?
Let's talk about his day.
I think that's the best path.
I to have a 6-shot lead, to lose the 6-shot lead, and then to go at one point, I think he was 3 back in the final round, and to regroup. I mean, you could talk. There's good experience, bad experience. There's maturity, and I think it just shows how much kind of grit the guy has. Where, so many people, if you lost a 6-shot lead in a single day, it would just be devastating to you. And then to come out of the gates the way he did, slow, have that, just a real bad double on 4.
It was. It's kind of interesting. It sort of lined up with some of the grades he gave himself. My irons were not good. It was a big pull. Left of the bunker, and a pretty good wedge.
Great chip.
Good chip, and then pulled both putts. The second one was more unforgivable. The first one was hard.
But to be able to, to be able to go down the way he did, the guy was 12 under through 2 days, and then he's standing on the 7th tee at 9 under, and so many players would just be shell-shocked. And I think we've seen Rory at different points in his career in younger years in that state of shell shock, and it's just spirals out of control from there. The ability to regroup and be calm in that moment and understand, hey, yeah, I've gotten some bad breaks. I hit a great shot on 6 that, ended up long.
Popped over.
And that was a really tough spot to be. And to be able to just regroup and be like, basically my world is not ending. And to kind of, regroup, make a couple birdies, get back in the mix. And then like, just understand. I think, like, it's so easy in that moment to, like, you have this number. He said in his post round, like, I had this number 15 under in my head, right? And so, like, my goal of what I wanted to get to today, I thought that would win for sure. So you think about how you would feel if you started the day 15 under is my number.
Yeah.
And on the 7th tee, you're sitting at 9.
He talked about it in that moment. Like, I really, like, if I didn't make those birdies 7 and 8, he didn't know. He was just going to have to go all gas the whole way through the back. Yeah. And like you said, he's standing there on 7 and he gets it done.
Yeah, and at that point, Rose had pulled past him. Cam, who he's playing with, is out ahead of him. And,
Scheffler
I think, like, probably, like, one of the big reasons that he felt okay.
Yeah.
And I think, like, a pivotal moment of the round was the Cam Young miss on 6. Like, that had to have given him fuel in that moment of, like, okay, like, I'm okay.
Did Cam make another putt after that? I guess he birdied 8, but like
that was an
13,
amazing pitch.
15, 16, 17. He just like did not. I think after 6, he just really struggled with the putt, about this putter. Yeah, it was.
And then, I mean, so then you have Cam, you have Rose, you have Scheffler's all of a sudden right square with you, and you're like, and then he goes and he finds that championship gear. And he gets, basically into a similar position of where he was on, last year. Like, not quite as big of a lead, but he walks off 12T with the tournament in his hand, really.
We talked about this a little bit when he took the big 6-shot lead. Like, he has these 14-hole stretches or 7-hole stretches where, like, I won the tournament there. I don't think – he clearly didn't win it on Friday night. It just sort of came at this clean break of the 36-hole mark where everybody could write this narrative of he's 12. Maybe sometimes that would happen on a Thursday morning where he goes out in 30 or a Friday afternoon coming in. And it just happened so fast and made it this clean narrative for the weekend. But he didn't have his best stuff this entire week. But he's, quote-unquote, freed up, right? He has the jacket in his locker already. And we talked about how much he's evolved as a golfer, and like we know his strategic brain is on point and has been for the last 5 years or so, whatever term you want to put on it, based on his U.S. Open performances, based on his performances here. Like mentally, he's freed up. Physically, he's like always had the game to play here quite well, and so it was interesting. I thought this week compared to last year. It's probably those first two. Like, strategic brain is dialed. He knows this course as well as anyone. Like, mental brain is dialed. He's freed up, has 17 years of experience, and not the pressure of putting a jacket in his locker. Maybe the pressure of this, big lead or whatever, and being in contention.
I think there was, Rory's a historian.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of pressure, and I don't know if he'd admit it or not, but, like, I think he probably felt a lot of, it's not the career Grand Slam. It doesn't equate to the career Grand Slam coupled with a 11-year drought. But I have to think that this weekend he felt it for becoming the 4th player of all time to win back-to-back.
Completely. There was pressure. I'm not suggesting he was totally free, but it was a different kind of weight, I think, probably than last year when you're talking about these notches on the resume are a little like less weighty than, oh my God, I've never won the Masters in career Grand Slam. It felt like those three aspects, like the physical, the game was the one he had to work on the most. And that's where he's standing on that 7th tee and like, we'll talk about the rest of the field. No one ran away with it. Those guys were, and you talk about the wind, and there were reasons for it. It wasn't like guys were necessarily gagging on themselves. It was like the physical stuff he had to sort of manage. The game he had to manage, like, is my tee shot on 13 going to go miles into the pine straw again? He worked on it Saturday night on the range. Like, that was the part he had to manage the most, not the weight of sleeping on the lead or at the lead or the final group on Saturday night like he did last year with Bryson.
Yeah,
It's probably a good spot to be if you're Rory McIlroy, given the golf skills you have.
I mean, like, you think about it, it's like the confidence now, even more so now, where he wins this with, you always imagine for years Rory McIlroy winning this, and this was very much last year. Outside of, if you take away the double bogeys, those 4 holes basically, Rory McIlroy won last year because of just tee to green excellence, and he putted well, right? But he had just full control of the golf ball last year. He drove it so well outside of, the holes 7, 14, and 17. And this year, it's like he won because he understood what he was like, how he was playing the golf course. And he talked about it in his post-round presser. It's basically been the only place he's played for 3 weeks.
Right.
He came out here. He talked about how he had talked to Jack about, how he prepped, and Jack would go out to courses the week before and play, a bunch of rounds and keep score, single ball. And Rory did that. And he, obviously on Saturday, he spoke about how he would drop Poppy off at school, get up there, and come back for dinner. And I think, you saw some of that experience in little places, just where he was leaving his golf ball when he would get in trouble, or some of his misses, I think, were different than he used to play it. Mm-hmm. And the comfort level with the shots around the green, I think, was so evident. He was just magical around the green all week. And I it's terrifying when you think about zooming out. He won without his best stuff tee to green. The whole dynamic of him at Augusta National has completely flipped. It is a place he loves to spend time now. It is a place that he fully understands how to play. And because of the way he won last year, where he basically did everything people said you can't do and win, it has now given him this freedom. And now it adds on top of that he won without his best stuff. Yeah,
I mean, just to talk about his happy hunting ground, it was funny to watch him fly off in a golf cart after they'd done the jacket ceremony on the putting green. And they go down the first hole. He's just waving from the cart at the crowd. This is kind of his place now. His happy place now. You mentioned the short game. Just to put a bow on that. 16. He has to do kind of the Tiger-ish play, right? He misses. He goes long left. Not quite that shot at all, but an incredible play through there. 17, misses short, which he said was a harder chip than people thought, or it looked. That's another short game shot. 18, not the most impossible bunker shot, but has to get out of a bunker with all the pressure of no doubles. We just watched Bryson do the same thing, hit from that bunker and have it roll off the front, and he made a triple. Short game.
If you go back to another really important moment in the round, just like last year, up and down on 3 from the bunker.
Yeah,
that was great.
He and Scotty on Sunday.
That in his shot, they both hit great bunker shots. I thought Rory's was really well done because it's you listen to all the greats, and I think Bernard said this on Fried Egg. It's when the pin's way left on 3. All you want to be is left of it, but there's only 5 paces to be left of it. He left it right, left of it short, right up the gut on that hole, which was interesting. Came right after something. While you're watching these tournaments, you're just looking for these micro moments. And I thought last year, Rory being outside of Bryson on 3 really was a big moment because he made the putt. Bryson misses the putt. The same thing happened on 2, though, but it was flipped, where Cam literally chili dipped that wedge. And he was looking at using the bank to feed it back in, and he just, it was so lucky.
Yeah.
And anyways, he ends up right behind Rory's ball. He makes Rory misses, and I was like, oh, that, it's just one of those moments you file away, but then Rory comes back and makes the birdie there just to give it away. But that short game was there all week, and it just bailed him out. And as much as everybody always it's driving. You got to drive it well. You got to hit good irons, and this is what makes Augusta such a great tournament course. You have to do everything, and I think the short game is the skill that people often overlook. That is like there aren't bad chippers of the golf ball that win the Masters for the most part.
No.
Like
that's
they
not
are
really a thing that
like
happens.
the best hands in the game typically win at Augusta.
Rahm, Scotty, Rory,
Hideki,
recent winners.
Patrick
Hideki.
Reed, Jordan
Yeah.
Spieth. Like you go down the list, Olazabal, Seve. All these guys are typically great chippers of the golf ball.
Yeah, he was. We should do on a day like today. It was a roller coaster in and of itself. It wasn't quite like the one last year. If we had to narrow it down to like the shot of the day or the shot that won him the tournament, it's probably 12. It's probably 12, which on Sundays, if we're being honest, is usually just sort of like, aim over the bunker and make your 3, or you roll it into the water and you lose it. There's rarely of like go and grab it by the neck 2 there. And Rory cut one in there beautifully, faded right up, had an amazing anecdote about listening. I mean, this talks about the experience and the weight of it no longer being on, the weight of not having a jacket. Talked about a 2009 practice round he had with Tom Watson in describing just wait for your wind, wait for the wind that you want while you're over the ball. Wait. And
Wait for the wind that is the wind. Because it swirls back there. So it's like wait for the wind that where it's supposed to be and then hit as fast as you can.
And he's leaning on that, that's 17 years ago, right? And has the recall, and I'm sure he's applied that in the, every year he's been here. And that's kind of, I wouldn't say he took the tournament by the scruff of the neck, but he never gave it back when he after he hit that shot. And so it was, you don't see that often at 12, a 2 on a Sunday.
I think that shot was awesome. It was a great shot. It's the whole maturation too of the golfer. I think there are a lot of pro golfers that wouldn't have the wherewithal to ask a legend of the game like Tom Watson, "What do you do here?"
Yeah.
And then there are a lot of golfers that might be told that and then like forget about it. Like Rory's got this encyclopedic golf brain. He remembers everything. He knows the history of the game. One time I was having a conversation with him and we were just talking about something and we were talking about Monty and I said something. He goes, "Monty never won that tournament." And I'm like, "Oh, I might have gotten mixed up." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it was this." He was like, "Yeah, Monty never won that. He lost to this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy." Like rattled off like 8 years of history of that tournament. And it's like the golf brain to do it, the skills, and like that golf shot, again, if you go back to the early part of Rory's career, a lot of the criticism of Rory's career, not a great short iron player, can't take speed off.
Bad wedges.
Bad wedge
wedges,
player.
Yeah.
And that was a 3/4 absolute perfectly executed soft arm swing 9-iron that hit the perfect distance. And it's just like that. I guess that's what makes golf such a beautiful game, is that you can have all the talent. But in that moment, it required the wherewithal of the information he got from Tom Watson, which he probably asked for, that he filed away for the rest of his career from 2009. And then the maturation of his golf game to be able to execute is such a highly technical. I think most guys just get to that tee and pray that they have the perfect yardage. But you got to take speed off a 9-iron in that moment when you're not having a great week hitting irons. When you're taking speed off and you're struggling a little bit, it is so easy to do exactly what he was doing all day Saturday, which is your body stops moving, you come over the top and you pull it and you hit it long left.
He said, "I wouldn't have had that. I didn't have that shot Saturday, to your point. He came out and said, I couldn't have hit that yesterday." Interesting. I mean, that's where he went and got it. And then, because it's Rory at the Masters, he hits like one of the worst drives you'll see on 18, like one of his worst. I was wondering like if he's ever had that shot of all the experience we're talking about. Like, has he ever in any circumstance? I doubt he practiced it.
The wedge on 15 was scary too.
I mean, I thought they mixed the pins really well today. 15, that's the fattest part of that green. That doesn't make it easy. Green 15's been very firm all weekend.
Newer
all
green,
week.
I
Newer
think.
green. Yeah. I mean, it's not to say it's fat, but that's the fattest part where it gets. That was that was a little dicey there. It was a little dicey. I was looking from the side hill into the sun, like trying to see it. But so it was interesting the whole way around.
I had flashbacks of 13 last year. I was up at the top. I was up at the top of the grandstand there, just like I was last year on 13, and he hit it, and I'm like, oh god, that's gotta get on its horse.
Gotta go. Right, go to the whip, ride the horse. So then 18, I ended up right, and he walks up. He kind of does this exhale as he gets to his ball in the pine straw. And, like, shakes his head. And it was kind of like, I got to do, like, one more. I mean, 5 is – it's nice to know you need 5 only, and 6 is a playoff.
I mean, it went so far right, it was an advantage because he could hit the big sweeping draw.
Yes. Yeah. Like, there was so much crowd in the way. He's like, you got to get out. He's going right to come back, kids. And
I walked by it, and I was looking through the trees. And I'm looking through the trees. I'm like, oh, there's nothing there. I was with Brentley.
Yeah.
Ironically, it was funny. Brentley got a hamstring cramp there. Didn't know if he was going to make it up
rolling
the hill.
down the hill.
He might be. He might have the.
You're jamming him right now.
He might have the questionable tag for his media lottery round at Augusta
shoot,
tomorrow.
I forgot about that.
But anyways, Brentley's like, he's going to chip it through the trees. I'm like, the play is up here. He's got to hit the big hook.
Up and over.
He
He just exhaled and. He talks to Harry. He goes, it's going to come out a little spinnier because it's from the pine straw. And just, as he was over the ball, this giant plume of cigar smoke enveloped him. I thought he was going to back off the ball. Like, I would have, it had to have. It was some Yahoo Jamoke was right there.
What an idiot.
And, just puffed. And it went directly up the hill from the crowd, went right. I don't know if he noticed it. I couldn't have been, I wouldn't have been able to do it. It just went right over him as he's over the ball. It's like, oh my God, he's got to back off. And then he hits it, he planned it out. It just dumps it in the bunker and makes his 5, takes his medicine, just all the way. Just had to ride it all the way in, just with 6 maybe in play there. And the playoff was Scheffler and Rose. Would have been an interesting playoff. But, he gets it done.
I mean, just think about it. He's got this 2-shot lead. 16's generally like a birdie hole with that whole location. He has it past he has this delicate putt. That was an incredible putt he hit there.
18.
From 16.
Oh, 16. Oh,
from
yeah.
off the green.
Yeah.
And then 17, I think that was actually kind of a good spot to leave it.
I was wondering that because he started walking after it.
Yeah.
And I think he knew he missed a good spot there.
Yeah.
Short and had a lot of green
he was chipping right up the hill.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy shot by any means, but that shot on 17 is so hard. Your natural reaction is to hit it left there, and I don't know if this is what if he was purposely trying to miss it over there. The natural thought is that, but that green screams away, even though it doesn't look like it. It looks like you're chipping uphill, but it's actually going away.
Yeah.
And that the chip he left himself. I mean, he's so good at that little. And this is just a shot that he has that I don't see other people, a lot of other players. I see Scotty hit this shot at Augusta. And maybe it's just kind of a shot that some guys have at Augusta that just unlocks things. He hit the same shot on 6 on Saturday, or Friday. But it's this he hits that low 60 degree that hits into the fringe and pops it, and then it stops. Him and Scotty do that so well there. But that chip on 17, I mean. He made it so difficult on himself again.
He called that harder than it looked, but I do think he thought he missed it in the right spot there on 17. All things considered, it was a great chip. Yeah, he did. Short game had to work. Short game had to work all the way in. All right.
I mean, yeah, you think – I mean, just the way golf always works is that you're presented with the things – you come down the stretch the pressure ramps up, and like the things that you're just like not feeling are going to get exposed. And the tee to green game got exposed the last 3 holes. And the short game putting bailed him out, which he said was an A this week.
Yeah, an A.
And you think about Cam Young coming down all really like the whole day. Cameron Young's been a great putter for the last year, but the Achilles heel has always been the putter, and the putter just left him on Sunday. Justin Rose, his struggles this week, and were with the putter. The putter kind of let him down again today.
3-putted 13. That was kind of like a real punch in the gut, especially after after 11.
It was not a 3-putt for Cam at 13.
I was talking about Rose.
Oh,
Rose.
I thought we were still on Cam's putter.
Rory mentioned after his round that he realized the Grand Slam is not the destination last year, and I would put that there were 3 acts in his career right now. There's obviously the immediate spoils, right, from to 2014. Then there was the drought where, quite frankly, he was never outside of, he was always felt like one of the top 5 players in the world. There were some dry years there where the wedges were, going boom out of here. But he still maintained. He was still winning FedEx Cups, and he was a top 10 player in the world.
He's basically been a top 10 player without, there's been maybe 2 periods since 2010.
So that was Act 2, like a great player, not getting it done at the majors, but still like clearly like the ambassador of the game. I think we're in Act 3 now, where we are running up the resume. I've fully formed a golfer. All the physical tools are there. I'm not over the hill physically or with my game at all. He's still the longest, and he's at 6 now. He's past Brooks. I'll remember that full swing where he sits in the locker room. I think it was Oak Hill. And he's like, it was one of the better, more insightful parts of full swing. He's like, he's got to 5. He beat me to 5. There's a player in my era, in my contemporary, that has more than me. And, at that point, he's sitting on almost 10 years without one. And, obviously he matches him last year. He passes him this year. He ties Phil. He ties Sir Nick Faldo, who I was going to give Thirst Bucket of the Year award, Thirst Bucket of the Day award, but then he gave me time, like a proper night, Sir Nick. And said, I go, what did you do?
I witnessed this happening. It was two large men walking stride for stride together.
Sir Nick's someone I wouldn't want to have him rushing off the edge. That would be a good battle on the outside. Yeah, it was good though, walking with it. But he jumped in as Rory's walking from Butler Cabin, which was cool. I mean, like the two of the best Euros of all time, and the back-to-back Euros at the Masters and 6-time major winners. I asked Sir Nick, like, what did you talk to Rory about? He goes, what did you tell him? He says, I told him he's effing amazing. I was like, what did he say? He said 12 is the whole deal. 12 was the whole key. Golden Bell. It was the whole where he won the Masters. And it was, he's now matched with Sir Nick Faldo. How many majors does he get?
So
it seems like he's motivated. This is not the destination.
So there's 11 players in the history of golf with more major championships. Jack, Tiger, Hagen at 11, Hogan player at 9, Watson at 8, Varden at 7, Jones at 7, Sarazen at 7, Snead at 7, Arnold Palmer at 7, and then the group of 6 is Faldo, Mickelson, Trevino. You get to this point. It seems, as he said in his pre-tournament press conference, this is the easiest one for me now.
That's crazy.
It's at the same course. He's unlocked the course. I was, this weekend it hit a snag, but it felt like the first 2 days, given how he hit the golf ball. It felt like he's gotten to the point where, like, you play the video game over and over again, and you get to the final boss, and it kills you every time. And you can't get past the final boss. And then one day you figure out how to beat the boss. And it's like, oh, I just have to go left, A, B, and I got it. And that's the move to beat him. And he like figured it out. And so, I think if you told Rory, 2 years ago, or you tell him March of last year, this is where you're going to hit the ball all week, he would have been, I have no clue. I have no way. There's no way I'm going to win the Masters. I mean, he hit, what did he hit? How many fairways did he hit on par fives? 2 or 3?
He hit 8 today. He hit number 8 today.
He
hit
13.
13. I think he was in the fairway.
So he hit 2. So he hit 3 fairways. He hit 3 of 16 on par 5 fairways for the week, and he won.
He did all his work on the par 5 still. So he was even on the 3s, which is a good score at Augusta. Even on 3s, 2 on the 4s, and 10 under on the par 5s.
And he didn't hit. He was never hitting them in 2.
Right.
He had 15 yesterday, and he had 8 today, and those are the only greens that he hit in 2.
What would you grade his, this is insane. He's got a green jacket.
It was his
what would
B.
you grade his golf game?
It was a B. He chipped and putted his ass off. His chipping was so good. Some of the places he got up and down from this week were banana land places.
You look at his strokes gained, and that doesn't tell the story in my opinion. But
well, the data tells us everything.
There's no part
prisoners of the data moment.
His around the green was the highest for sure, but none of this was exceptional. It wasn't like, oh, he gained 4 shots off the tee today, or off the tee this week, or approach. Nothing. It was all kind of slightly above average, all slightly above average. Nothing dominant, and his around the green really saved him. It wasn't as so.
I think you put the majors. Majors are hard, and I refuse.
He's gonna be the favorite at Aronimink.
I refuse to allow myself to be a prisoner of the moment, and say the floodgates are open. I'm saying that the over under 7.5.
Okay.
What do you think?
7.5 total Masters.
Total major.
Oh, I'm kidding.
I think. Peach, what would you say?
8 seems fine, PJ says. Where's your
I've
mic on?
I've been on 3 all week, but KVV's on 3 times.
Okay,
So
all right, there you go.
Eight
Producer
seems
PJ.
fine.
8
seems fine.
I think I'm going to go over. Feels like he's, feels like he's pretty motivated to run it up. It's like you're not going to see me go into this, how do I figure out how to come down from Everest this year thing. Maybe it's easier said than done now that he's won. But I think Shinnecock's a big thing for him. I think Aronimink plays into his hands nicely, as almost every PGA does.
You have to think the Open at the Old Course next year is highlighted, and then.
But that almost feels like one of those Masters. I almost don't want to touch that because he's too zeroed in on those, right? I don't know.
I think all this stuff. You know what it is golf's like a world of pictures in your mind. And he created all these great movies for himself early in his career at major championships where he's blown the field out. And then he had this era where he was pretty bad at majors for his standards, obviously, for a number of years. And I think it created a lot of scar tissue. Then he has this phase of close calls where, they're gut-wrenching losses, but he's in the fight, and you can take away, if I keep giving myself chances, one of these is going to get knocked down. And I think he's back into the mold of I'm making great movies at majors again. Even to the sense of Portrush last year, I think was he came out of it positively. But this one's got to feel better. It doesn't feel better than last year because of all the weight of last year. I think you walk out of this one feeling more confident than ever because you did it without your A game.
Yeah.
Did it without what everybody would say if you said Rory won this week, you'd be like, oh, he just drove the shit out of the golf ball and he gave himself so many opportunities because of how well he drove the ball. Instead, it's he drove the ball bad by his standards. And everything else, his course management, his mental game, and his short game and putting bailed him out.
I think the wins at the Masters, like, it frees him up obviously with this like once house of horrors that was Augusta, but like it frees him up the next time he faces a Pinehurst situation, right? Like it frees him up like next time he's in the lead at a US Open or a PGA or whatever. Like that's a different dynamic too, because it had been 10 years. It had been so long. So I just, it feels like he's dialed in. I would go over 7.5. I know you're trying to be cautiously not a prisoner of the moment. I think that's fair. I feel like he's probably got like 10 years of Masters.
Yeah.
Like real Masters chances, maybe more. I mean, 10, that's a lot. And 5 minimum for all the others. That seems like a lot of chances to get 1.5.
Side note, is the biggest loser today the PGA Tour because Rory felt like he was the most prepared for a major and he took 3 weeks off before it?
It slipped under the radar, but like, it's like, oh yeah, I'll take a couple weeks off. Like Hilton Head, just nowhere, no chance, never was going to be a chance. Like tough scene for the signature at Hilton Head.
I think he's kind of entering this era a little bit earlier where the great man Justin Rose, who finished a couple back, but he's entered this era almost where Justin Rose, everything he's building his game is around the majors, and I foresee as Rory hits the next 3 to 5 years of his career, he will be doing everything to build his life around the 4 major championships, and everything else will take a backseat. You know what's a comfy backseat?
Oh my gosh. Go ahead. Great job. I mean, you win today. I love my segues, but that was a good thing.
If you're a
Hilton Head,
if you're going to take
a back seat,
if you're going to take a back seat, I would recommend taking the back seat in the Mercedes-Benz GLS, which PJ's been riding in all week long. They got 2 bucket seats back there.
PJ, come in. Testify to the back seat.
They're heated. They have like the motorized controls. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think about like my childhood riding in the
pampered.
bucket seat or a bench seat of a minivan.
Or the station wagon looking backwards.
Way back, looking
backwards.
Kids these days, if you have a Mercedes-Benz GLS, have it way too good because they got heated seats back there. They're bucket seats. There's plenty of space. All of the Mercedes-Benz SUVs are wonderful. Whether you're looking for a smaller one, check out the GLB, the GLC. Those are kind of your more mid-size SUVs. And then scale up to the GLE and the GLS, which we've been driving around this week.
You've got the full lineup off the top of the head there.
He's killing it.
You've been doing well.
Well, if you want to go all the way, you go G-Wagon, too.
You could get a little flashy with the G-Wagon.
We saw
a
nice G-Wagon propped up in the Mercedes Village. How about that?
Yeah.
Just sitting right outside. That was something.
You want to learn more, you can go to mbusa.com/the-masters. That's mbusa.com/the-masters. Thanks to Mercedes-Benz for their support of Friday Golf, the Shotgun Start podcast. It's been a wonderful week here in Augusta with their support, and they're a big reason why we're able to get down here and provide the coverage across the board, written, audio, social, the whole way due to them. The photos from Cameron.
Rory might not have had his A game, but that segue was
an
A
A-game
the best
segue.
thing I saw all day.
A-game segue.
That's pretty good.
Where do you want to? Who would you like to go to?
Are we
next?
done with Rory?
We could talk more about Rory.
Well, we're gonna have the boys come in. We're gonna have KVV come in in a second.
The most emotional part. It was a very different Masters. Like the crowd on 18, he hit it to 2 inches. Didn't know what to do. It was like this sort of. I don't want to say it was like deflating in any way. It just wasn't the release of last year. And then Rory. No, I'm not saying it was just the way it went down though. The sequencing. Rory. Certainly the most emotional part was having his mom and dad there who were not there last year. He said they didn't want to come because they thought maybe he won, which is feels like an Irish thing. Totally something I would subscribe to. Is like, well, you won when I wasn't there. I'm not coming. We're not coming. And he's like, I had to convince them to come, and they did, and they got one. Saw his dad for a minute. He's like, yeah, I figured I'd come and get one, while I was here. That was certainly the most meaningful aspect I would think of this Masters.
I mean, I think there's another aspect, and we could talk about this a little bit later. Emphatically, the best European golfer of all time.
Emphatically?
I think so.
I would agree with you. The
I
other contenders would be Seve, Ballesteros, and Nick Faldo.
Nick Faldo. I think you the whole totality, the longevity, and knowing you've got probably 7 really good years in the tank left.
He's 36, turns 37 next month.
I think you've got you look at that. He's emphatically the best European golfer of all time, and then you start to look at this list, man. You start to look at the major list, and it's like, okay, I said a very conservative over under, but if he gets to 9, majors, the only people ahead of him in the game, and he's doing it in a very competitive era, are Jack, Tiger, and Walter Hagen are the only ones that have more majors than him.
Yeah. I think he's on the
the
Watson and maybe Gary Player eyesight, in the trajectory at this point.
And you think about the way, ironically, the crazy thing about his career was he's gone from where he's a PGA hunter and it's okay, the PGA is the best major for him. Is the PGA this major that sets up the worst for him now?
Because it condenses, people can catch his separating powers more easily. I think another motivating factor, not motivating. I think it would be sweet. I'm not in his head. I think it would be nice for him, probably personally, to pass Phil Mickelson. I think that would be another modern great. I think he's probably happy that hopefully Phil will be able to be at the Champions Dinner next year that he'll be hosting. I think he, wanted him and Tiger there this year, and now he'll get another chance at it. Who knows what may happen last year? But I think it'd be, passing Phil would be meaningful to him.
I mean, I think there's some motivation too with what Scotty's done.
Yeah. We'll get Scotty here in a minute. Whoop, whoop.
Scotty's sitting there at 4 now, getting that extra major out ahead of him. But, he has to feel I think there's probably a lot of him, especially, end of last year. It's God, this guy's barreling down on me.
And I don't want to say probably, but certainly a very good candidate to join the Slam Club.
Unless he stops him.
Needs the USO. Well, maybe this year, but yeah.
We didn't have time, candidly. We didn't have time to make our storylines nobody talked about, but
yeah,
it would bring us to a storyline nobody's talking about. I heard there's public outcry about the police force.
What happened?
They couldn't bring the racketeering case home. A repeat offender, a menace to society, a menace to the fair police. Rory McIlroy skirts away, slips through the hands of Sheriff Scotty and Deputy Sam.
I mean, I'll go even further. I think Sam Burns arrested the wrong Irishman today. He just completely he was like, oh, he's got an accent, and just went after him and threw him in the brink.
I mean,
immediately, and thought he got his guy.
Look, it was a complicated day of figuring out where to go. It was nice of Sam and Shane to excuse themselves from the proceedings, so at least there was one less group we had to toggle between. Rory was committing crimes against fairness all the way to the 18th, where he's so far right, he's going up and around.
If Scotty went home every night, I could see Scotty doing this, going home every night and watch the shot by shots of Rory.
No, he's not. Come on.
He would have seen a lot of petty theft. A lot of petty theft.
He said it wasn't equal. He said the conditions weren't equal. The birdies that were available on Friday afternoon weren't for him on Thursday afternoon. He went out there and said it. I'd like to
It's been a rare failure of the police department in recent years. Golf's police department.
Police
couldn't get the offender in cuffs.
Should we go to Cam? Where do you want to go next? I was going to talk about Cameron Young for a minute. He got a lot of good breaks off of trees. He got it off of 3 again.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of the Mutombo block into play. He got it a bunch, on Saturday at 17 and 13. Amazing, par save at 5, and then just was shaky from there on out. After 5 was really quite shaky. I thought.
I think he handled the moment pretty well.
Totally. He definitely didn't just blow up or gag away. He was in it.
This is a guy that went out first 9 of the tournament, shot 40. And then he comes back and he's leading the tournament on the first 9 of Sunday, and really I think he played tee to green well enough on the back 9 to win this thing. He just didn't make any putts.
Didn't make the putts. Yeah.
He hit the shots he needed to hit. You think about. He had a really good look on 10. He had a really good look on 11 for how hard 11 is. He had a great look on 12. He had a great look on 13. He had a really great opportunity on 15 that he didn't cash in. He had 16. 17 he was pinned high. I mean, the guy played great golf.
Rory did put a little bit of a pin in the boys' balloon, saying it would be a more comfortable pairing this Sunday compared to Bryson last year. I wouldn't say that's I don't think he was dogging Cam. He just felt probably a little more comfortable.
You know what I liked about Cam?
The boys. I don't know if the boys may not have appreciated that.
You know what I loved about Cam here, real quick?
What?
So I think people wanted to get another quote about how Rory didn't talk to him, and Cam goes, he said something along the lines. I can't find it here. I didn't mark it, but
You want me to do it?
I
have
don't
it
really.
right here.
I don't really talk much either.
I'm not one to talk a ton to begin with. I don't think he really wanted to talk to me today. Sunday in the Masters in a final group, don't wish anything poorly on the guy, but we're playing against each other. Not trying to be best friends out there.
Yeah. So I think the reporter was trying to get something similar to Bryson about Rory not hit, and Cam's I didn't want to talk to him.
Bryson doing his little diaper filling routine. Yeah.
Also, I loved, a reporter at that point. The reporters that were in the pool, for the most part, I don't think really watched the golf that were asking the questions.
Oh, I haven't read Cam's transcript.
So, anyways,
candidly, but I did watch the golf.
Somebody suggested that he wasn't being aggressive enough. And he goes, "Yeah."
What does that mean? Because he
goes,
didn't make 8 birdies. What does that mean?
So he goes, "Yeah, but I mean, how much closer do you want me to hit it than I did on the back 9? Want me to aim right on 12?" Just one of those. I think the shots are pretty obvious, and I hit a lot of them. I just didn't make anything. I thought Cam played great golf on the back 9. You could play this. You could replay that back 9 a couple times, and Cam probably comes out on top 30% of the time.
Yeah,
he hit the shots, he didn't make the putts, and it comes down to. Golf usually reveals your weaknesses, and I know he's been a great putter, but everybody has their little kryptonite of getting over the hump, and it took Cam a long time to get over the hump in a regular tour event because the putter held him back.
Yeah,
we've seen the putter hold him back in majors, and it looked like it's solved, but the gravity of today was huge. And as much as he downplayed, I didn't feel much different. It's not like he choked or anything.
No, he didn't.
He just didn't get it done.
Didn't shoot a 78. There was none of that.
I will say, I mean, I know you just brought up the quote, did you feel any different 3 years ago? He said yes, even a year ago, a little bit. I mean, 40 on the front 9, even a year ago, is a death knell. It would be over.
He would
at
be
that
done.
point.
Yeah. I'll say.
Pete, I gotta say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry your boy didn't get it done for you. Both spiritually and financially.
It's okay.
It
happens.
A good chunk of change was going to come your way if you
It
came.
was
okay.
going to be a
Might be-
windfall that probably would have changed your short-term life.
Yeah, for
Might be
sure.
Looking at a GLS maybe or
It's
something.
okay.
like
I actually made that joke to Andy this
You
morning.
did?
I
You
did.
did? All right.
I did.
I love
As
that.
we were riding in the GLS.
One of the coolest scenes, I went to the range before they teed off, and usually the range, it's kind of meh. It's just guys hitting balls, and you don't know what you get, and you probably overinflate the moment. I watched it. It's incredible to think about, your dad is your coach, but he's also your dad. I know that sounds so simplistic, but to think about your son is about to play the final round of the Masters, but you also have to be the coach. And he's on the range with them, and he was watching, he would watch Rory hit, and then he'd go back to his son, who is still his son. I hate to be so, it's incredible this double duty he had. And his mom was up above, and, you're the pieces of your parents, right? His mom has his countenance, the face and the deadpan cam, I don't talk much deal. And his dad, he obviously gets the golf game from his dad or parts of the golf game and its instruction. I think his mom's a very good player, really good player too. And you're these pieces of your parents. And it was just fascinating to watch his dad then out on the course. He hits it on 13 and that maybe was going to go down into the tribute. His dad, it stopped and his dad, gulped. Because all of a sudden his dad goes from coach on the range to dad in the cigar smoke in schmutz with everybody else. Yeah. And he walked the whole, as far as I could tell.
Every day.
He walked the whole deal.
Yeah, and every day he walked the whole deal.
It was, and they were both at the far end. Rory and Cam stayed till the end. And it was if you were a golf sicko, it was incredible. At one point, they were both hitting driver, and Cam was kind of coming across the range, hitting from the farthest left across the range. And Rory was hitting his draw, working on a draw. And they were on the same cadence. And at one point, it was this perfectly blue sky. I'm not being corny about this. Their balls almost kissed and crossed, and they're the only two players on the range. It was dead silent, and literally the whole world, the entire world, waiting on the other side in 15 minutes. And the balls kissed and they were on the same cadence. It was an incredible scene. I was with his dad there watching him.
It's the coolest thing about these extreme high stakes golf tournaments, and Patrick Reed spoke about it in the lead up to the tournament, the thing he missed. But at the Masters, it's just ramped up, and the whole week there's so many people around, so many people on the range, and then on Saturday and Sunday it's just the last two guys, and it's Cam and Rory. Last year it was Rory and Bryson, and there's just when you sit and watch the range, there's just this gravity to the moment where it
was amazing, and just to think that's also his dad who's now got to watch his kid go play the Masters. Was really powerful moment.
While we're on parents, can I give you my nominee for Quote of the Day award?
Sure,
because it's topical.
Please. Is it from Jerry or something?
It's not. It's relating to the young parents. Cam comes through the whole tunnel of love before Rory does, and
so the
goes
first
to
tee?
scoring. No, after. Goes to scoring. He's walking with his wife. They pass through. His mom is coming behind them, a couple steps behind. She was walking all week with one of those chairs that you plop down or whatever. And some moron just yells, "Good job, Dottie! Happy for you!" at Mrs. Young.
Yeah. She still carries the folding chair. That it was kind of. She had to ask what time it was on the range. She asked somebody else what time it was. Brentley made the joke.
But
it's
no,
Cam time.
they thought she was Dottie Pepper.
I got it.
I
yeah.
just wanted to make that
I
clear
got
for
it.
everybody.
I got it.
I was stunned in disbelief that happened.
she-
I think it
seems
happened more than once. It happened while she
really?
was honestly,
They seem great. They
it
seem
happened.
great.
It happened while she was walking in to scoring.
That's what I just said.
yeah.
That's what he was
I thought
just
you were
saying.
saying somewhere
Yeah.
else.
And obviously, Rory.
We're all brain dead.
Rory is pieces of his parents too, as he's
Yeah,
his
absolutely.
father, eternal optimist, and his work ethic with his mom, and all these things. It was interesting to watch the two of them watch their son get ready. Should we go to someone else?
Cam gets to 7 top 10s in 19 majors now. He's knocking on the door. It's gonna happen.
Got all this all the skills.
Yeah.
he's gonna be there.
Ron Mink he should be on the short list for.
Rose, anything we want to talk about with Justin Rose? We certainly hit on him. Like, he got uncomfortable in the wind. I'll say his shot on 7, low-key, like, shot of the tournament, that another one that will be forgotten. Like, absolute cut from Lamagna was there. He can probably come in. He was, like, right behind him when we'll talk about. Like, shot of the tournament, the side spin, just whipping down. 7 gets ripped a lot as, like, maybe the weakest hole out there and is now reduced again to almost a drive and pitch. Which was what it was originally.
It's good that they moved the tee back 120 yards, and the original intent of Mackenzie's been restored.
We're back now. Thank you, golf ball. That's where we go.
Yeah.
It was, but watching shots frequently there in those approaches is amazing. That was one of the great shots of the weekend. That side spin. I don't have much else on Rose.
On the good man Rose.
Yeah,
a
lion. A real lion. Much more of a lion than J-Day.
I got to apologize. PJ worked me in a tizzy last night, and because of his Jason Day slander.
You see how this works, folks? I'm getting blamed for the bad takes.
Well, no, because of your Jason Day slander, I just said Rose is a pretender.
You lashed out.
I did lash out.
You lashed out.
Because I was frustrated with your Jason Day slander.
And do we want to talk about that?
I mean, we don't need to talk about that.
I think
the lion.
I think Joseph. When Joseph comes in, we're going to talk about that a little bit.
The lion was out roaming around.
He was awesome. Birdied 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9 is where he went.
He's ageless.
Yeah, he's great.
I don't know how he can keep getting into the mix. He'll be 46 at next year's Masters. I think that, last year, this year, I have a hard time. I think these were his 2 shots. I think he's going to join the list of, like, snake bit Augusta.
I think that's probably fair. But God, what a lie. I mean, you talk, and we're going to get to Sergio. We're going to get to his ass in a minute. But you talk about, like, the same age, same contemporary, the guy who won in 17, the guy who lost in the playoff, and Sergio, who's just been NA, just irrelevant at the Masters since he won. And Rose just keeps coming back and keeps coming back and keeps coming back. Could have gone in 2 very different directions. Sergio did not do the Rory route of coming back to the well. But, yeah, you think he's done in terms of this kind of opportunity.
One of the best press conference anecdotes that I had from today is Adam Scott.
Oh, he's always
obviously
talked about him last
contemporary, night. Someone who's played against JR for years.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, change the subject briefly. This will be my last question. What is it like to play with Justin now? What's it like to play with him? What's he like to play alongside? And Adam Scott said, I think that he's quite an intense competitor, Justin. I don't think anyone should be surprised by that, given his showing again this week, his showing here last year. He's a very focused, intense competitor. So having spent my whole career kind of alongside each other, I'm saying this as a compliment, that he's still so focused, maybe from the outside looking in, a little bit even more focused than ever actually at this point in his career. And then they said, what about like his golf? Does he do well? Well, he's incredibly calculated. I think he really knows his own tendencies well, and he plays around them all to his advantage. I think he's been very meticulous and about the way he's built his game. I would say probably for the last 15 years, but certainly the last couple, I think there's been a very narrowed focus, and he's very meticulous about things. The thing that I found most interesting, and I think this is so true, the calculation. I think Justin Rose, he understands, the tournament and when he needs to make moves and what he has to do and when he has to take things on and what, he has just this, he seems to hit the right shot at all the right times. And today, we didn't see really anybody coming down the stretch. I think he knew he had to take on 13. And I think he knew he had to make an eagle.
He hit the shot.
He hit the shot. and then he gave the eagle a real run.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted the eagle, and I think he knew he needed the eagle there. He needed the eagle, and he went for the win, and it didn't happen. But I think he's like, I walk away from this, and he's for sure not the most talented. He has earned his place in the game by hard work. He gained speed in the early 2010s. And he's gone about managing his body, managing his game, but he wins and he gets in the mix because he gets himself ready for the tournament physically and with the golf swing. But then he just has this incredible pulse, and he knows what he has to do to get to where he needs to get to. And I think today, he went for it, and really, you look at this round, the 3-putt killed him.
That's it.
But he needed the eagle there to win. He did need the eagle.
He talked about the second shot on 11 really kind of put him on the fritz. That was deep, super deep. And that was really when he started struggling with the wind. We should get to the sheriff.
Should we bring in everybody?
Let's get to the sheriff real quick, which will transition us to a golf course chat and bring everybody in. Incredible birdie, 3 putts 2. Goes long on 8 and makes a run. He said, repeatedly in his press conference, look, I was 12 shots back. I think I did pretty well. I ended up 1 out at 12 shots back at the weekend. Everything that was done in the first 2 days. I think it would have been nice. I think I did pretty well to be 1 shot out. A lot of golf course talk, and we'll get to it in a second. I'm not in charge of course setup, he said. I would have liked it to have been a little bit more, and this is where the sirens start blazing, a little bit more equal in terms of the firmness on Thursday and Friday. I was a bit surprised at how soft things were on Friday afternoon, especially as it got late in the day. But the weather also changes a bit, and it was windy on Thursday, so who knows? We play an outdoor sport. And he spoke about just getting the wrong side of the draw.
It's a true story. He got the wrong side of the draw.
But isn't that just how
it's how golf works? And I think he said later in his interview session, listen, what cost him was shooting 2 over on the easiest day. Friday morning, he goes out, no wind, soft golf course, and he shoots 2 over.
Friday probably hurt the most in terms of my chances of winning.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
And I think at the end of the day, he just didn't make enough putts. He hit a lot of great shots. Yesterday he almost ended Jason Sobel's career when he said it was a dumb question.
Jason Sobel's had a great, long career.
And then later, backtracked. Probably not that bad of a question. But, of course, the only thing that got aggregated was that's a stupid question.
Yeah.
Listen, he's got amazing – he's going to win more of these. And he's got an amazing knack for just being around. And, I think he probably walks away from this feeling – much like Rory, I almost won this thing with my B or C game.
Right. 1 shot out. I don't think we're taking any kind of alarming sort of extrapolation from his week at all, if anything, or just he's still maybe the scariest dude in the sport is probably how we come away from this week.
The Rory Scotty kind of 1-2 gets more interesting after this. I think you probably still have Rory or Scotty out in front, but it's close. And I think this year probably if I had to guess, I think Rory's probably going to handle the 3 majors after this win probably better than he handled the last ones. It seemed like he kind of got in a funk of he had accomplished such a huge thing, and it's I think this year you're going to see a more focused and sharp Rory at the next 3 majors.
Speaking of Rory and Scotty, a golf course setup that has Rory solo first and Scotty solo second.
Well, now you're doing the Valhalla thing.
The good leaderboard?
Yeah, I did it last night.
Look, There was a lot of hollering about I think people, maybe we used all our ammo on Saturday. That's fine. I don't want to repeat myself. This felt like a very simplistic line of thinking that was sort of devoid of critical thought and just shrouded in like statistics as like a safety net. And I think like what you saw on Thursday night, or Thursday, you're like, oh, it's firm. It just needs to get incrementally harder from here on out because it's not going to rain. And then there were some low scores on Saturday. It just, every single player, you have to just listen to the players. This is as firm as it's ever been. The greens are purple. The greens are a different shade of purple and brown. This is as firm as it's ever been. They were at the edge on Thursday. I think it yielded, like you were getting punished if you hit poor shots. This wasn't like dartboard, drive it, wedge it, and it sticks, and it sticks right there and rolls back a foot. None of that was happening. I thought Jordan Spieth put it quite well. He said the holes that greens need to be softer are softer, and then it was let go on the others. This is of a Sunday setup like it was on Thursday. You can't have it like Thursday with where the pins are on 6 downwind and stuff like that. So they have it at a playable spot, but you have differences in how firm some of the greens are compared to others. And you just trust that they know what they're doing, which is easier to trust here than anywhere else. I think Augusta National was like pretty big on championship golf and championship tournament conditions, and you do have to trust them. I don't blind deference to them at all. It just felt like the narrative that set in, it was aggregated everywhere. There's a Golf Digest article about it. Just like they went soft and drenched the greens, like drenched. Nothing was drenched here.
I mean,
it wasn't critical thinking. You were just over-indexing on Thursday afternoon.
I'm not an agronomy expert. I would say that I probably understand agronomy a little bit more than most golf writers or golf media folk.
You do.
But I think the reality, there's also a dynamic of what the Masters is. The Masters is the tournament where people can go get it. And the raise, like you saw that dynamic on Saturday and Friday, and the weather was really dry. And what I mean by dry is like when there's no humidity, the greens can get really firm really fast if there's wind. And I think Thursday, I'm certain that the golf course made the green jackets a little uncomfortable for the rest of the week. Like I think they were uncomfortable with where the golf course got on Thursday afternoon. So yes, they put water down on Friday morning, but that was water down to protect in case it got windy, which you don't know. If it got windy on those days, you would have seen really firm greens in the afternoon, but it didn't. And this is exactly like when the USGA has lost Shinnecock. This is exactly the equation. Low humidity days where the breeze picks up and then the greens get too firm. So you have this dynamic of we have to put water down in case the weather forecast change. You can't. Yeah, the weather forecasts look great all week, and you had but if that changes, you can't lose the golf course. Like at the core of what you're trying to do, you want the golf course, and especially their golf course, is always going to be a part. We see the golf course play a huge role, whether it's soft or whether it's firm. But you can't have the golf course and you losing it be the number one story. And the line is more narrow. And I think what people don't realize, and I think where some of this comes from, it was also hot. So the ball was going really far.
Flying.
And the ball stops when you're hitting a lob wedge. It just does. And these guys were hitting lob wedges into everywhere. I mean, Rory hit a 6-iron into 8 today. That is a monster hole uphill. I think is it 580 uphill?
Yeah.
He hit a 6-iron into the green. Okay? So the ball has gotten completely, the ball and equipment have gotten completely out of control where 14's basically a drive and pitch.
14's a drive and pitch.
7's a drive and pitch hole. And so you're hitting these short clubs in. So, yeah. But, like, when you see them hit longer clubs in, like today with, like, 6 downwind, was just, like, nobody could hit the top portion.
Yeah.
15 downwind today. It was incredibly hard to – like, Cameron Young hits the ball as high as anybody in the world outside of maybe Rory and Marco Penji. But he hits the ball. He hits towering iron shots. And on 15, he can't hold the green. So today you get wind and the greens get firm and nobody complains. Yesterday you don't get wind and people complain. And the day before you don't get wind, so people complain. But, like, this is not – but you can't just – you don't just set there's not, like, some little, like, button that you set and that's what it gets to be all day long.
It's not critical thought. It's complaining without proposal of any kind of alternative of what you actually want.
And it's complaining from people that aren't out watching golf shots actually, like, land and react and hear the sound that they're making on the green.
The winner shot 73-71 on the weekend. Like, okay, you've complained. What did you want? You wanted to shoot 78. You wanted all 80s? Like, where did you want the pins? What is your proposal? What is your alternative? I think we would be all over it if it went, like, if they were super soft and this was a disgrace and this wasn't what we want from Augusta, we would absolutely shout out about it. I think it's just, they saw the forecast, no rain. Everybody needs to shoot 80 this week because it's not raining. And, like, there's no alternative proposal other than to shout and holler about it being, like, not as hard as you wanted. There's no actual realistic counter. Anyways, 73-71 was enough to get it done on the weekend. And 13 and 15 had their bite back. It was awesome.
They could have probably pushed it a little bit more. Okay?
Friday.
They're like, yeah, you might have been able to push it a little bit more. But again, it just illuminates, and this goes back to Chairman Ridley's first or his press conference. It illuminates the issue with the ball.
Yes.
Scotty Scheffler covered the bunkers on one today. He's a middle of the road hitter. These guys are hitting wedges into one.
To everything. To make the complaint that Augusta went soft and just not bring up the ball in relation to how they are driving it to wedge distance on these what are supposed to be these beefy par fours is that is the bigger problem. And I know people are going to say we're singing from the same hymn sheet, blaming the ball. Open your eyes. Like that's what. Where's the needle you want to thread when they have to wedge? What do you want the course to be when they're hitting it that far? How do you want them to shoot 80?
Well, I just don't know how you can get greens like when you're just hitting wedges in. But then, like, the problem is they're hitting wedges into all these par fours. But if you get all the greens super firm, then people would complain that 15's unhittable.
Right.
And 13's unhittable.
Or it's just you can't go for it. No go.
And
the drive on 13 has never felt more consequential now. So it was interesting. I mean, Scotty hit a good drive there and had no chance to go to the green. Rory has an 8-iron. Like, it just, like, shot shape seems to matter. I'm not saying Scotty had a great, like, his best drive ever, but, like, he was miles away. Didn't even pretend to go for the green 13. Rory got his shaped a little bit and has I think he said 8-iron. Did he say 8-iron?
Yeah,
I think
so.
Like, that's a really consequential drive again. As maybe they weren't always even hitting driver a few years ago. All right. That's the course. One more thing to support your greatest European golfer of all time. Luke Donald, who knows, I think he's a pretty contemplative voice, tweeted, tying Seve with 2 green jackets will mean a lot to Rory. He is undoubtedly the best European golfer of all time now. So you said emphatically. Luke Donald says undoubtedly the best European golfer of all time. So a lot of consequential golf was played today.
All right,
Should we bring in the crew?
Let's bring in the crew.
Let's bring in the crew. Let's talk about who do we want to talk about? Houghton Lee. What are we bringing in? The relief pitchers to talk about Houghton, KVV, and Joseph Labagna. Read them in the newsletter.
Like Joseph cramped up over there.
Read them in the newsletter. Kevin's got a feature piece coming on the day, probably on Rory. Maybe he just decided
I'd write about Russell Henley.
Hard left turn. I saw Joseph on 9 green. I walked up first time I'd seen him today. I said, "These are the 4 scariest words in sports. Here comes Russell Henley," because he had taken the lead at Lamagna. I was like, "You're in trouble now, baby. Henley's on the move." Kevin,
Hey, Pete, did you hear the big news?
What? It's the big news.
I don't want to interlude here, but I figure I'd sneak it in.
What is the big news?
The line
I did. I was going to bring this up to you. I was going to bring this up to you. I'm glad you did this.
Big Portal ad.
That's big. That's,
just-
that's
Definitely
some
what I wanna
Biggie's
talk about.
ball
It's
right
the
I
there.
just wanted to give Joseph time to get in. He was moving like an old man.
It's
so
okay.
I
It's fine.
We got the boys cam. Do we have the boys cam?
Oh, we got
live?
boys cam live.
Are the boys getting old? Are they getting
we're ready to
stiff
go.
from just being out there walking 36 a day.
The boys
with
thought they
Ryan
could-
Gerard and then the leader.
they
Joseph's
thought they
been-
could be out here. They don't want to be out here.
No,
huh,
no.
Zoe?
I think we did all right. For
Boys, I'm going to let you guys kick this off here. Were you guys surprised by Jason Day's performance today? Because I was.
No.
No, not surprised. I only take a little bit of offense to you saying that we weren't golf fans back when Jason Day was good. We remember Jason Day being good, and you know what? It was kind of a long time ago.
10 years, actually, is what I was looking
It's going to
for.
fly
10
by.
10 years.
Someday people will be, the next version of the boys will be talking to you guys about, what was Rory McIlroy like? Like, what was Cam Young like?
I mean, if we're putting Jason Day and Rory
Somebody's gonna-
McIlroy conversation.
You know what?
happens quick.
Imagine 8 years from now, there's going to be young pups that are going to be like, Cameron Young sucks, and you're going to have to eat it.
I mean, this is
Braids Brown is the greatest player of all time. You're going to
Blades
have to
Brown.
be a knower. You're going to have to teach
This
him.
is really like a full circle. Like I kind of got into this in like 14 when Rory
Yeah.
went on his run like that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I convinced me to like. I
You
really
do this
want
for
to
a
do
living?
golf.
Here,
Well,
you
not
hold
even for a
this.
living,
I'm
but
gonna
like
hold
golf is what I want to do. I love writing about this guy winning majors. And now we got the boys on a similar bent with Cam.
They just think
Cam
he's an
winning
old man,
Players
yeah.
Championships and being
Yeah.
in the fight. And here we are, 12 years later.
It's fine. It's fine. He played well. I don't want to. Do you have any Cam takes?
No, I have a Shane Lowry take, which is
Please,
which is
Joe.
that he shot.
Can we do
Are
that?
you guys really
He
sharing
has
a
now
mic
shot
over?
161 on Sundays
God,
over the
come
last
Can we do that now?
over the last
what did
2
he shoot
years.
today? 80 something?
80 versus the 81 last year when he was pissed off that everybody was just asking him about Rory. Shane Lowry, speaking of things that happened 10 years ago, Shane Lowry in the United States by himself,
Yeah.
it's been 10 years.
You really don't like.
I don't understand why-
He's a world-class player, according to the media.
Rory, did you hear Rory's quote in the
Yes.
presser?
No.
He said he was looking. They were asking if he were looking at scoreboards throughout the day, and he was like, "Yeah, I was looking up, and I was looking to see how Shane was doing because I thought, it'd make me feel good if I put the jacket on Shane if I
Okay.
wasn't going to win it."
I was looking
And he
to see
didn't
when they
comment
were
on,
taking
like,
Shane Lowry down
Shane
from the
shooting
board.
41 on the front or whatever.
Yeah.
He couldn't have been looking real long.
Because he was up there until Shane Lowry was on the 13th green looking at the scoreboard behind 14T, and that's when they took him down.
Hey Joseph, I gotta ask you a question from Matt 61268. How was downtown Augusta?
We didn't really make it. We made it to downtown Augusta.
too many
Taco
times.
Cat and
We
mush-
made
yellow
it to downtown
mushroom.
Augusta.
I'd say we went too much to downtown Augusta.
Not as cool as downtown Port Rush, but it's up there.
Love that. Love that. Kev,
Yeah.
early reactions or immediate reactions to the day. We will read your piece in the morning or even this evening.
Yeah, I think, you guys touched on it a lot, but this to me just represents like the evolution of Rory McIlroy, the thinker. Like, obviously that was coming over time, but, he didn't have to rely on like these prodigious gifts that had always kind of given him this kind of aura, right? This ethereal quality of who he was as a player. This was gritty. This was grinded out. This was like hold on to your nuts and absolutely find a way to make pars. And I think there's something kind of really admirable about that. Like, you don't have to win majors every single way. Tiger showed us that sometimes you're going to be awesome and sometimes you're just going to outlast everyone and grind them to death. And I think he has, he should feel really proud of the fact that he's now this kind of player who can do this different ways. There was a time I remember sitting, Brendan, you bring up 14, I remember sitting in the Chambers Bay press conference, and he was like, yeah, I'm just going to be kind of a volatile player. I'm going to miss 3 cuts in a row, and then I'm going to win 3 things in a row. And when I get on those hot streaks, it's going to be great, and I don't really care about the bad ones. And then he went through that stretch of U.S. Opens post-Chambers, but where it was like, Shinnecock, Oakmont, Aaron Hills, bad. Like really embarrassing sort of performances for a player of his caliber to miss 3 U.S. Opens in a row, and now he is just not that guy. I mean, he is the person who absolutely is going to be in the fight, you know, a lot if he has any kind of game. And I just think that this performance was cool to watch. I mean, I last year will always be special because of what it represented, but this one was grinding, gritty effort.
I feel like the part that maybe hasn't been discussed on this podcast at length yet is that there are some players who really let this slip out of their grasp. Like Justin Rose had this tournament and completely let it get away. And there are a couple other guys. You talked about Cam missing all the putts.
Justin Rose is a pretender.
Well, according to some people. But the point in speaking to what Kevin's getting at, like, it's about getting it done, whether you have your A game or you don't. And I feel like previous versions of Rory, less complete versions of Rory, would not have won today when you're scrapping it around on the weekend. And he was kind of scrapping it around throughout the weekend.
On the weekend? All week?
Yeah, but especially Saturday.
Well, I mean, let's just talk in general. Like, he's learned how to be a better wedge player, right? He's learned how to have all different kinds of trajectories with his irons. When he needed a drive on 17, when he couldn't afford another thing, absolutely flit this low bullet down of a tee shot that bugged him really for the last 2 years. It's just that player is so different than the 2014, 2015 version who was like, F it, let's tee it high and just bang it down there, and I'm confident I can hit this big-ass draw and just nail it down there 90% of the time. And that worked for a long time for him, but the golf has changed. Like, as you guys talked a lot about the agronomy stuff, like, you know, because the players can hit it so far, they have to push the course to the edge. And I get some of the setup stuff I just am confused by because, like, it's not like anybody shot the course record this week. There's all this idea that was, like, so easy out there.
Low scoring average on Saturday.
Did Scheffler shoot 62?
Isn't that what
like,
people want on Saturday? It's moving day.
Yeah.
Like, isn't like the history of the Masters on Saturday? Like, that's the day people go get it. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's these volatile moves on the board.
You want excitement, right? I mean, you know, Phil was complaining about how there wasn't any eagles or whatever, but it's like all of a sudden, it's like the truth what Garrett dug into is like, it is kind of like a momentous decision again. Like, it is kind of hard to go for those greens in two. It's not like when they were hitting 4 woods into it in, you know, the 70s, but it is like there's a lot of risk involved. And I think I can't get like behind, you know, when the score is what it is, like it's 12 under, you won that. Like, what are we asking for? Like, do we really, like, is 6 under, is that a better Masters? I just feel like they kind of got the balance pretty right, and they have for the last 4 years.
Well, Monty, where do you land on that? The course, this course. We don't need to go too heavy. Where did you land from a data?
I empathize with Scotty's viewpoint that conditions were fairly similar both days, and the course played quite softer on Friday. Like, I would probably be frustrated in his position, but if you were out there, if you were watching the shots,
Traffic cop.
the margins were super slim out there.
Maybe JLM's joining the force.
The margins were super slim.
The margins were slim. I mean, we watched Hao Tong Lee putt on 13, like up and over and down into the water, and it wasn't like his putt was carrying a ton of pace over. It's not like the greens were slow.
No.
The greens were fast. It was firm. 15 you could barely hold. Again, you guys touched on it, but this is a conversation about equipment.
I think in Scotty's case in general, you know, the reason, obviously, you guys, this happened before I came on to the company, but like he has in his mind, he just loves fairness, right? He's so more annoyed than other people by a gust of wind or a mud ball.
Huge
or
stickler
whatever.
for fairness. If I had the soundboard,
he would love it if the conditions were exactly the same for everyone. That's why he was kind of, you know, complaining about I like ball in hand or whatever the PGA. And I think obviously it's because he's just so freaking talented. He knows that his talent will kind of outlast almost every single person if all things are equal. And he's such a competitive person that what he wants is like a fair stage. He wants to basically be at the Olympics where you line up and run the exact same 100 meters that everyone else does. And that's just not golf.
I think he wants that because he's the best executor.
Yeah.
I like if you just stood on a driving range and said hit shots at this flag, I think Scotty would win all the time.
Yeah. What's that TaylorMade video where he like hitting them on the launch monitor and like, how far is that going? 115. And it's like comes up on TrackMan, 115. 302. Like he's so good at knowing exactly the right yardage to hit it to that without any elements, of course he's going to hit flags.
You got to wonder, why is he not playing TGL if he just wants, dome golf?
Joseph,
Those
where
numbers aren't correct.
Could be a
either.
TGL legend.
Joseph, where are you landing with Cameron right now after today? I was out there with you for a good portion.
I think when we just say somebody just missed putts, like there's truth to it, but also, I feel like it sometimes abdicates the quality of the putts. Like, yeah, Cameron missed a lot of putts down the stretch that he probably should have made one or two.
Yeah.
And I think reading his quotes, he more or less felt like he did everything he needed to win. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read his quick quotes, but he was basically like, I hit the ball well enough to win by multiple shots. So
He did.
no, I agree. But he didn't get it done. And I felt like there was a little bit of a lack of that X factor down the stretch.
House
to bury
cat?
a couple. No, not a house
cat?
Not a house cat by any means.
Just to be clear.
Not a house cat. Big game
young
hunter.
lion,
Played well.
young lion,
Played well.
you're not young lion. Maybe a bigger cat.
I'm excited for Cats Park too.
Yeah.
We've had
probably
many
time.
conversations. It's
Yeah.
coming up.
I think he could be like a panther, a young panther that got
We're gonna do
his
Cats
nose
Part 2, so-
batted.
Honestly, I think Cameron Young, that's obviously a huge part of the story. He's in the final group. But what Rose letting this one slip away, to me, was probably the biggest takeaway of the day.
Had the lead going to the 10th tee.
He chipped one back to his feet on number 3.
The
That was
chip on
huge.
12 was horrid. I mean, that just resulted in a bogey, but
The chip on 11 was bad. And he
Yeah.
talked at Torrey that his short game still needs to be cleaned up if he wants to have a chance to win some of these. And that really did cost him today.
I think, I truly believe you guys are right and that Cam is going to win a couple majors. I think 2 would be a good number. I think he's shown that much game. You have to get in the mix a little bit at Augusta, I think, to kind of understand all of the feels of that pressure. And the bogey on 7 was not a particularly good one. That's
very
where
bad.
it started to sort of slip a little bit for him.
Yeah, back to back 6 and 7.
What was Kev? You've covered so many of these majors and these major Sundays and these major moments. What was your approach today? Andy, I talked about bouncing around. What was your feel of the day?
I walked the whole front 9 with Rory and Cam, and I just felt like I could see Rose, I could see Scheffler climbing, and I was like, I have to see the big picture of this. I mean, I walked all 18 with Rory last year, and so I thought, even if Rory wins, this is never going to live up to last year's kind of thing. So I ducked in the media center and just started taking notes and kind of seeing the whole board. I knew you guys were out watching. I was like, you guys can get a lot of color, but I need to be able to see the chessboard. That's rare for me because I kind of hate being inside and not feeling this sort of thing like that. The cigar detail smoke. That is right in my alley of the kind of shit that I love, and I feel like a little bummed that I wasn't there to sort of see this scene on 18. But I also, by that time, I was like, when he hit the putt on 17, I was like, oh, should I run out to 18 and sort of see this, whether it's a disaster or whether it's a triumph unfold? And I just thought, you know what, I got to sit in here. But
You know what?
Go ahead.
You know what? One of my big takeaways was, I think Augusta National, it just in golf in general, but it's ramped up at Augusta National. It is so hard to play 3 great rounds in a row.
Yeah.
And if you look at everybody that's on this leaderboard, they effectively just had one mediocre round mixed in here, and that's the difference. Scotty, it's the 74 on in round 2. Rory, it's the 73 in round 3. Then you go down to Cam. Cam's was today, really, in round 1, and he's sensational in between, right? That's basically and Justin Rose, ironically, was he just didn't have the one great round.
Mm-hmm.
That was the putter never allowed him to have the one great round this week, and I think that's the thing with Justin Rose.
At various points today, I thought Rory was going to win. I thought Rory was going to lose. Would everybody agree with that? Was there a point today where you didn't think Rory was going to win?
when he made the double on 4, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. This
Based
is
off
just-
Saturday.
Six for me. I was like, ugh.
6, I felt like he hit a good iron shot there, just went a couple yards too far. But the iron shot on 4 was not good,
No.
and the chip almost went in. But then the first putt was bad, and then to mix the next one, I was like,
What about you, Lavanya? Did
Yeah.
you ever think Rory was not going to win?
Oh, yeah. When
Yeah.
I saw the double go up on 4, I didn't think it was over, but, I mean, Cam and Justin, because Justin Rose hit the shot on 7 very shortly after that. One of the craziest shots. I was right behind him when he hit it. It was aimed
Sure.
30 yards left of the green. peels it back to 6 inches and is strutting up to the 8th tee box. Like, it was in his hands.
Can I ask a question for you guys? I was next to 8 green when Cam hit that chip from over there, and I couldn't really see because I was kind of hiding the people. Everyone thought that he hit like a shank there, but it seemed like he was trying to hit it.
Bank.
The back
Also,
bank.
Cam practiced that shot for about
Did he?
10 minutes during his practice.
It just
round.
sounded a little clunky, and everyone went ooh, and I was like, there's no way he shanked that, right? Like,
No.
and
That
it
was
was
intentional.
an awesome play then to sort of bring that back. Rory hit a great shot in there, and it kind of was a pretty weak eagle putt, but that was kind of like at least like those 2 in a row sort of felt like got the round.
So it was the day I think when we all felt like Rory could win. Cam could win. There was a moment we thought Cam was going to win. I would say just jump in and object when everything. Rose was going to win. I think we all thought there was a moment there. Scotty, anyone object? Did you just think Scotty?
I think
no?
after he birdied 3, I was like, ooh, he's coming.
Yeah.
Hey, he just
I thought when he birdied 15, 16. I mean, I know that's late in the game, but I don't know how much you guys saw his third shot into 15. Did you see that?
Yeah, I thought it was too late because at that point Rory was already like he needed a birdie out in my mind.
It was too late. On 13 fairway, I thought there was a chance that Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
That was the first time. Early in the round, it's like it was a possibility, but on 13 fairway, if he makes either birdie or eagle,
How was that
he
drive
has a
so
real
far
chance.
back?
Yeah, did he hit 3-wood or something? That was so far
He was
back.
right in the middle of the fairway, and there was no even thought about trying to sling a draw up
I didn't
there.
see the tee shot.
He was really far back.
I mean, Rory must have been 50 yards further.
A couple days ago he had that driving iron into it. It's a really hard shot for Scotty because if he wants to get in a good spot, he has to turn the ball over, which he doesn't really like to do.
Other notes you guys want to unload? I mean, we could do. I have a couple quick grades I want to get to. Tyrrell Hatton, Wikipedia yellow. The definition of Wikipedia yellow.
I mean, Morikawa finishing
A.
C7.
That's awesome.
A plus.
He gets an absolute A in this week.
He was
Honestly,
hitting it like-
Fleetwood was pretty. He was in the mix for a little bit and then totally ejected. He gets a bad.
That
rate
was
in this
yesterday.
one.
Yeah.
Max Homa with like the most irrelevant top 10.
You know what though? Max
Lamont
has been a
takes.
long time from like sniffing any like top 10s in a major. He played really well, and I think I know Joseph, you don't like to think he's a replacement level PGA Tour player, but here he plays good golf here, and like I think that speaks something to his imagination and his game.
A certain media member.
This is 3 top 10s now in the Masters, 3 top 15s.
A certain media member did pose a question to me that could Max Homa be the first guy to qualify like via top 12 in the Masters, but also lose his tour card in the same year?
I guarantee that would not be. There's plenty of dudes back in the day. They used to take top 16 at the in the Masters come back each
I mean,
year. So.
a couple others. The Cantlay T12. He might not qualify for the Masters next year.
Spieth was T12.
Other than the T12.
Spieth was T12.
Spieth also said after his
Sneaky
round that
68.
some really good golf is coming.
I hope he wins the Heritage next week.
I saw what he said. He said, "I've never hit it better, even in the years when maybe other than the year I won. I've never hit it better than I hit it this week.
Putting was
bad."
Where are you guys with Reed and Burns? Are we giving Burns? Burns probably gets a positive mark. He finished T7.
Probably.
Bad Sunday. I know the taste in the mouth is not good right now.
Didn't get the promotion.
No, but he made a bad arrest.
He was super irrelevant.
He arrested the wrong guy.
I did think
totally
briefly though, because we did the '86 rewatch when Burns birdied 16 on that like 50-footer. I was like, whoa, what if he makes another birdie and then he's like all of a sudden like Tom Kite, like putting for the lead, and everyone's like, where did this guy come from?
Well, we watched him at 17. That was like consequential putting.
Yeah.
He doubled 2.
Yeah. I didn't see how that
doubled
happened.
So
2.
apparently that was not on the broadcast at all. The double
Really?
of 2.
Okay.
They
Ooh.
showed him teeing off,
Speaking of
birdieing 1,
1986.
and then not mention
missing.
Have you
anything
guys-
that happened on 2.
Has there been any broadcast takes yet?
I didn't watch the broadcast.
No, I didn't
I
watch
watched
Twitter,
the first
not
7
fun.
holes.
Honestly, it wasn't great. There was a lot of frustrating things on the back nine. I mean, losing shots, like completely losing track of players. It just was like a weird year for CBS. I didn't quite understand what was going on exactly, but they were. I mean, I don't even think they talked really about Scotty getting jammed by Haotong for like 10 minutes.
Oh, it was
on
so
13.
bad. 10 is a generous. Joseph and I were there. It was 20.
I also think he might have taken a stinky drop still.
Well, that's like, but
I
at
think he
that
might
point,
have-
I just wanted him taking any drop to move the like literally throw the ball in the hole because he's not going to win. Like just throw it on the green.
I was watching the Eamon corner feed, and I kept looking back to it, and I was trying to pay attention to Scotty, and the broadcast was like it didn't go back to Scotty forever. I couldn't figure out one, so I flipped it over, and you could just see Haotong like wandering through the bushes, doing and then he's like
was
on the
20 minutes.
creek.
At least 20 minutes.
It just felt like there should have been a discussion about that of like, hey, Scotty Scheffler has a real chance to win the Masters and having to wait like 20 minutes to hit his second shot on 13.
At one point, Haotong picked up his ball to take an unplayable, and I think he was incorrect about where he could take it, then had to go back after he'd already picked it up. It was a scene.
He's a character. I mean, he definitely made me laugh with all that stuff about pooping his brains out all week. But that was not exactly it was a bit unbecoming when you're playing with a guy who's like truly in contention.
Poor marks for Day. Poor marks for Reed.
I
Just
think
tough
Reed has
weekend.
just disappeared.
Tough
I
weekend.
just
Well,
kinda-
Disappointing.
he did his sponsor obligation Friday night and touched the sun. And
VistaJet. They flew, literally
Logo
flew on
up.
his VistaJet to the sun. The Hatton T4 or whatever T3. I will remember. It's the most inconsequential T3. I'm sorry.
Speaking of inconsequential T3s, the Rust Bus.
I
he
mean,
played
Russ
fine.
Bus. There were shades of the Ryder Cup where Russ is surging into contention, and then all of a sudden he just starts hitting terrible putts.
Hand up, just
horrible.
watching the board. Speaking of people who you ever thought had a chance to win, I was worried about the existence of Russ.
No.
He just got to 10 so quick, and I was like, I haven't watched Russell Henley hit a shot all week. I don't know I don't have anything to comment on.
Listen, what Reed said in the pre-tournament about there being 10 to 12 players that could win the tournament
Kinda
is
true.
so true.
Yeah.
And of the people that finished on the board, I think it's like Rory Scheffler. I don't think Hatton is going to win the Masters personally. Justin Rose, Cameron Young, and that was it.
Those four, it felt like, through the day at one point or another.
And Xander Schauffele didn't play well enough, and and then you
Jason
go
Day
down.
was a pretender.
And John Rahm shot a nice 68
We're
to
gonna
move
get
into
to-
38th.
Yeah.
Grade. Live golf. Grade.
Well, they got
Disaster.
They had a podium finish. They got a podium
What's
finish.
the come on.
Terrell.
I mean, in my younger days, this is one I just relish this meatball. I want to throw this to Kevin and the boys. Like, live golf. Could not have been a more disastrous
Why are you
weekend.
going to do that to the boys?
Sergio was
they're
the-
trying to
they're
foster
Liv is trying to get their hooks in the impressionable young boys over there.
Liv
They
has
are
targeted the boys as the mark.
infiltrating the fried egg net. They are. They're trying to get their hooks in.
I saw
yeah.
the email.
Lunch with Anirban Lahiri. Coming soon.
Did you guys?
Terrible.
I'd say close to an F. I'll give it a D
Because of Tyrrell?
Because of Tyrrell.
because it's Hero. I think John Rahm and Bryson was super embarrassing, but Sergio also.
Sergio
on
got the headlines,
on the
baby.
PR front. Not great.
Sergio is who we thought he was. I've written about this for my
He's a bad
entire
guy.
career.
Yeah. I think you're the one person who's really always been like a
I'm
bad
not-
guy.
I'm
should
not
have been
here to
chased out of
pile on.
society. Yeah.
If you
It's
were an
it's one of
asshole
my
at
favorite
20
things.
and an asshole at 25 and cover your and you're an asshole at 35 and you're still and he's still doing it. It's like, oh, Sergio's matured. I read that story when I was like 10 years ago.
I
I'm
think I
so
wrote that.
spitting in a
That's
cup. Like, he's still an asshole.
He's a bad guy. He's a bad
I'm sorry, and he hasn't done anything since he won. Am I yelling too much? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's just
okay. This is Sergio's always a button that you can always just.
It was the
you
least
can just push
surprising
and get a
thing.
reaction.
Media,
He's just
media
kind of immature.
got some grief. This bad question, Scotty, but the media was kind of riding Sergio pretty good. They're trying to get some answers out of him.
And he
after
wouldn't
the presser.
answer.
No, he snapped at him, of course. But I was impressed. Like you and Murray, Bob Herrick kept going at him. Like what was the conduct for? Like, well, I'm not going to answer. Next question. And what did Yang say to you? I'm not going to tell you.
He took a chunk
just-
out of the tee box and smashed his driver on a cooler.
You know
and
what
Doug
was funny?
Ferguson had the report that Jeff Yang, the new chairman, competition committee, first year on the job, just throwing in the deep end, getting some Sergio reps. Went out to the fourth tee and gave him a code of conduct warning. Ferguson, the great AP reported, added, also hearing this new conduct policy is being used for the first time this year for at least two majors.
So
Second violation is 2 shots. Third is DQ. Are
Here's
they
the deal.
combined?
It should be
Who
like
do we
points,
want-
It should be like points on your license. You keep them
Oh, I
forever.
kinda like that.
And then if you get another, like if next year he gets another conduct violation, it's a stroke.
that.
One more of that, it's a DQ.
It's like Draymond Green with the technicals
Yes,
over the
yes.
course of the year, and then
These-
they accrue,
they
and,
shouldn't just
and
disappear.
the NBA hands LeBron a title.
Who do we want? All right.
Oh,
Who do we want to name this after? Because I think
Draymond.
no, because after if 2 majors, after incidents at 2 majors last year, this is the Wyndham Clark rule.
yeah.
This
That's
is
a good point.
the Wyndham Clark rule. Period. The end.
Can I tell you something that made me just giggle while I was sitting by myself early in the morning?
Please.
Oh, I can't
So
wait.
Sergio breaks his driver, and then like I'm watching. I'm just sitting by 9 green, just enjoying the morning, watching players play through. Start with Kitty Cat there.
Meow.
Next group up, I'm like the scoreboard turns and it's Sergio and Rom. And there's one ball like 25 yards behind it. And I'm like, oh, it's Sergio. And it's still on the downslope. So Rom's down in the flat. And Sergio's on the downslope because he had to hit 3-wood. He hit an awesome shot. But I just was like chuckling to myself. I'm like, oh my God, he just made this hole so much harder. Because on the second hole of the 4th round, when he's completely out of the mix, he decided to break his driver.
Of course, he had an enormous asshole answer about that too. They were like, "Well, how hard was it when you didn't have driver?" It's easy because there's no decision. You just hit 3 with every hole. Next question.
I actually love that. That's great.
I mean, what? Why? Just breaking your driver when in like an inconsequential
Completely
Sunday morning.
He's 40th in the tournament at this point.
And he's playing with one of
He's
his
also
friends.
45 years old.
I love John. I love where John's like, "Whoa." Like
Yeah.
That look.
Rom's
okay.
saying he'll now prepare differently, but won't say what. He's like, oh, I'm going to start doing this differently. Like the greens are this firm. I'm going to start doing this differently.
Oh,
like,
wait,
people
the greens are this firm?
But yeah, he said, you don't see it this firm. I need to prepare differently.
greens are firm?
Yeah, it's purple. I need to
So
prepare
much so that
differently.
John Rahm has to prepare
That's what he
differently?
said. This
Okay.
was a live. Is this like many people read into this as like, oh, well, the live schedule's a joke. It doesn't prepare you for the majors. I don't think that's what he meant necessarily.
Also, yeah, Rory didn't exactly, heap praise on the PGA Tour to lead up.
Oh, totally.
schedule
I'm
either.
not like just isn't a pure live. I didn't read it that way,
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
frankly.
Also, on live.
But why
stuff-
didn't he tell us what
You
he
know
meant?
what? You know what I
Why
can't
is this
wait
a state
for?
secret?
I think I know what he meant. He could just pull the Rory and play. Just show up. Just kind of be here all the time. It
can't-
worked.
I can't wait for next year. Let's go into the next year. Max Grazerman qualifies, miraculous run, and he decides he wants to do the Rory prep, and he spends 3 weeks at Augusta, and 2 days in, they tap him on the shoulder. When are you leaving?
He's probably busy agitating for crypto to be paid out from the purse.
I heard a good story this week. I think they just send you a bill. It's just like, hey, we think you maybe need to stay at the Quality Inn up the road, but we're going to send you a bill for the first 2 weeks, and it's like $200,000.
What other notes do you guys have, Joseph?
Well, just on the live stuff, the only time Phil Mickelson missed this year's event, whatever's going on, and the only time he made any headlines was having a crazy take about 13 and 15, like just unserious
Spell
stuff.
out what's his take. What was his take?
He basically said that length is not always better. Now there aren't eagles.
Lengthening the holes.
Right.
Yes.
That now there aren't eagles anymore on 13 and 15, which I think you guys covered yesterday. But, 13 and 15 were probably the 2 highlights of the tournament this year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not easy birdies at all. Mostly a lot of 5s. Go ahead.
I had this note, Joseph and I standing at the first tee. Cameron comes across and takes his hat off, shakes all the markers in the announcer's hands, and Rory just blow by all business. Didn't even flinch at anybody. I just
Put him in
wanted
jail.
to point that out.
Put him in jail.
A good guy.
Not so good guy.
Bad
question
guy?
mark?
Is that what you're
I
asking?
mean, Jerry would shake their hand.
Oh, you wanted to bring up the hat we saw.
This was my favorite moment with Lamagna. We were on 13. Houghton's putzing around. There's an older gentleman in a red fire engine red hat, and we know what that means nowadays. A red hat with big bold
Hawks fan?
big bold letters on the front.
Okay.
And he turns and he faces us, and you expect certain verbiage. And it says, "Relax, it's just a red hat" on the front. And he was an older gentleman in the demo.
That's good.
And Lamagna, I go like,
You're going to Sunday at the Masters? Like, who? You go look at the closet. You're like, I'm going with this one today, and I'm going to wear this on 13 at 8. Relax. It's just a red hat. It's pretty good.
I saw a guy dressed in like full Sigma Chi fraternity regalia, and he was like 65 years old, like hat and like white button-down shirt. And
What
it's
was the
like,
hell about?
what? Like you decided to wear all frat gear, and you're like 65 to the Masters on Sunday, and it was a long sleeve button down. It's gonna be 90.
Usher. I saw Usher in a sweater out there. Usher Raymond. He looked very hot. Not that cold.
Joe Jonas was in some crazy fit with a lot of cotton that he
Ursher?
could not have been comfortable with.
Rafa Nadal was the only celebrity I saw this week.
He was around the first tee. Speaking of the first tee, an interesting moment, just random, totally random note. As Rory and Cam were on the first tee getting ready to go, JT and Victor finished putting on 18.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
That
They
was
were
cool.
they were walking through the tunnel and going to the clubhouse. And like they're in the middle of the tunnel, and JT just like turns back and like looks at the first tee and like longingly, like just staring at it. As
did
like
the Ryder Cup stare?
It's like it's just totally full. It's enveloping. Cam hadn't put his peg in
was
the ground
noticeable.
yet. It was
Yeah.
interesting. It was like a moving, not move, but it was powerful. Like obviously, like I could be there late 2 o'clock tee time.
Can I ask a serious question?
JT.
This could go a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
If you had to bet on JT or Jordan Spieth winning another Masters, who would you bet on?
Another Masters?
Yeah,
Jordan
or winning a Masters.
Win a
Justin
Masters.
Thomas.
Jordan Spieth. I know who you're
So
taking.
we got one for
I
each.
think Spieth.
Yeah.
Justin Thomas has never showed any ability to compete here.
But he's shown a pulse in the last 18 months.
No, it's
Has
really
he?
good. It's really good. It's right
no.
around the corner.
Who's contended in more majors in the last 5 years, Spieth or JT? I think it's Spieth.
5 years? I don't know. I don't think I care what
Feels like
happened
a
4 years
conversation
ago.
we're going to have
Justin
next
Thomas has
Sunday,
been in
too.
one
Harbortown.
contending
They're going to
major.
go blow to blow at Harbortown next year.
Neither of
Next
them
week.
is serious.
The DL3,
Next
the
week. Those
DL3
two.
memorial for JT and Spieth.
Those two are going to get some big signature points next week, I feel like.
I'll take JT's future
I'll take
earnings.
Spieth.
How
Where
did
are you?
Spieth earn a spot at the Heritage, or was it sponsor?
I believe it was on his own merit,
that's a
actually,
good
because of his
question.
finish. But you know who did get a sponsor exemption?
Tony Finau.
Oh, God, he's on the full circuit. Look at this. That might be our time to sign off. Anything else? What else, Kev? Any other big picture thoughts?
Oh, I was gonna say, I think Jordan Spieth.
I think Spieth.
If I
too.
had to bet on
Yeah,
one.
if I had to pick the two, I would take Spieth.
I think Jordan Spieth, Andy Johnson.
Mr. Potts was still wandering around. Mr. Potgeeter, just the old man. A lot of
Mr.
amusing.
Potty.
It's been a couple times. I just chuckle. I was like, huh? What's
I
he
saw
doing?
McKibben was
Yeah,
in
there's-
full Legion 13.
Tyrrell?
Presumably his scripting for Sunday.
Yeah, tough.
This is a good question
ahead,
from
Kev.
the crowd. Rory, a double Grand Slam or Spieth? What's it more likely? Rory double Grand Slam or Spieth Grand Slam?
So he needs another U.S. Open.
And another Open.
I'll throw Joseph Bone here. I don't think Spieth can win a PGA. I don't think.
I don't think anybody's fighting.
No, I think he can
I might
win
have a
an-
better chance of
I
winning
think-
the Grand
I think
Slam
he-
than
Stop
Jordan
it. I
Spieth.
I
think-
actually think if you were going to pick a course that he could win at, I think he could win at Maronimink.
Hey,
I think he can win at Frisco.
would it
That would be
count
a
at
better
Frisco?
chance.
Would it
No,
count?
there's too much trouble at
It's a
Frisco.
home game for him.
Would it count at Frisco? No, would that actually count? Would you just give it a half?
I think there's a real chance
Half a
that
major.
Rory boycotts Frisco.
Sounds
That
like
would be
it.
sick.
I bet no. Conversely, he wins it, and then he has to like acknowledge that it's Frisco. It's the full
Can I?
deal.
All right.
go ahead,
Big
Kev.
picture thought.
Please. That's why you're here. We love you.
I think the Masters has. I want to get this right. There's a little bit more and more creep every year of the kind of corporate sanding of its edges, and I really felt that this year for the first time.
Oh, you want to do that? Yeah, let's do it.
It's
Let's
just
open up a can of worms
I had
here
this-
at the 2-hour mark.
I was like, are we going the Wednesday? I was looking at this. Is this the Wednesday episode? Please.
well, I think
No.
it might be the boys. The
Yeah.
boys
That's
might
not
be
the
riding
Wednesday.
we
solo.
also have like a big takeaway this week is PGA Tour versus the entities that are not the PGA Tour. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that another time. But please, Kevin, go ahead.
You know, it obviously some of the par 3 stuff became a big part of that conversation this week,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
the clown show that has kind of lost contain a little bit. And I was trying to trace back when this par 3 in my mind became like a celebrity event, and my old employer ESPN is certainly part of the participation in that.
They're touting the ratings. On
I
Twitter.
think it's when Tiger brought
Ratings.
Lindsey Vonn to be his caddy, kind of soft launched their relationship at the par 3, and it became like a TV event. Oh my gosh, like Tiger and Lindsey are dating. This is like everyone wants to tune in, because for years he had rejected the silliness of the par 3.
He did.
He was like, this is dumb. If I'm competing for the tournament, I'm not going to play in this hit and giggle where people bring their families around. But he kind of like legitimized what we see today, which is that it's just basically like a family circus, which is fine, but it also, I don't know, it's like we're losing a little bit of what the tournament used to be. And this is like truly the dumbest probably analogy that I could come up with to sort of illustrate this. But I feel a little bit bad because I was recommending like the peach ice cream sandwiches in our guide this year. I was like, oh, they're so great. And they were so mediocre. And I was like, you know what? This strikes me as like some like hedge fund person was like, we could make these peach ice cream sandwiches way more efficient and for way cheaper if we just like commoditize them.
There might be an ice cream shortage.
They're just not as good as they once were. And that
Because
used to
the ice cream, there's not as much ice cream in it.
Sure. And I'm sure people will be like, oh, fat guy didn't like the ice cream. Whoa, whoa. But like, it just, to me, it's like a larger thing about like, okay, these used to be this original cool thing. And now they're just like a thing that you could get at the grocery store. They just taste that way. And it feels to me like a little bit of the charm was lost in that sense.
Well, the merch, we haven't even touched on the merch.
Merch is a huge
That's
explosion
where it
of
is to me.
stupid.
That's where it's kind of out of balance.
Who wants a doggy
Look,
bowl with Masters things on it? Who wants a, literally anything, the salt shakers, the Christmas tree ornaments, the footballs, a baseball. Like, there's nothing that you can't imagine that they don't put a
BP and I
Masters
almost
on.
grabbed the football. Because
I
we
mean, I
saw
was
some other
joking
media
about it.
members
I was joking about
huck
to
huck
throw
at
the
baseball
alpha
outside,
on
and we
the-
got jealous.
I think
Who was the other one besides the one?
Oh, all right. It's our gambling friend. Our gambling.
Okay.
Look. This seemed to be a big narrative debate early in the week. I think like we're in an era of incredible Masters tournaments. Like, let's be real here. Sure. Rahm, Scotty, Rory twice, Tiger 2019,
Scotty twice.
Yeah, like it's an incredible run of Masters tournaments. I thought, like, whatever, the celebrity stuff and the goofiness and the Miz and Kevin Hart and all that, like, it's not for me. I don't really watch the par 3 anyways. Like, I get people's being offended by that, but whatever. I think where, like, the stuff was really out of balance is, like, the merch hall becoming an identity of the tournament. Mm-hmm. That said, like, I think it's growing it in a way that maybe is probably not appealing to others. I had a woman, like, a good friend of ours, my wife's good friend, like, very dignified, reserved person, not a merch hall, text me this morning, like, I saw this hat and I love it. And, like, never asked me for anything. Could you get this for me? It's going into these different tentacles. Mm-hmm. But, like, the notion
Did you get it?
I tried. It was sold out. I did try. Because this person, like, is, like, a normal, good person that asked me for it. It's like, holy crap, she wants a hat? Like, then, like, this must be going into different bloodstreams. And that's not a bad thing. But the merch stuff just, for me, is where it all seems out of balance. And the celebrity pictures on site and the posting where, like, I don't know if you should bring your cameras the first 3 days, because now it feels like people are bringing their cameras to take pictures of themselves in this arena, not to take pictures of the competition.
The social team is told to follow the celebrities
I know.
and shoot a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, that would never have been the case 10 years ago. The Masters has never felt cheap to me. And for the first time, there's like a couple elements that upon the edges that are starting to feel kind of cheap.
I mean, this does not matter, but in the restaurant, in the media dining area, they have like the clocks around the world.
Yeah.
Did notice the hands were not fully lined up on it. And that is
Great
a small
detail,
thing
yeah.
that does not matter, but I don't know, attention to detail.
It's like, look, it's a fine line. If they want to grow with women and they want to grow with kids, and like, I don't like blame them for that. The one thing I'll say about all the hooting and hollering and the carping, like, to lean back on the Spieth line, I would think like nobody is thinking about this more than the Masters. Yeah. Trust me, burner Twitter account. Trust me, like frustrated, whatever, 75-year-old dude. Like, I would think the Masters is thinking like considering these outcomes? Are we going over the line and like following the discourse about it? Like, I do feel like they are not going to thirstily go after every inch, and maybe there's some sort of recorrection after this. I don't know. I don't know if we should have cameras the first 3 days after just what I see is people lining up to take pictures like of themselves, like flying. The merch hall thing. The merch was just the one thing that I felt like got really out of balance. The celebrity stuff, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, that's it. That was a big observation, a big picture thought.
Yeah, just big.
Okay.
I mean, I just think it's a delicate thing to play with, right? It's just, we probably go too overboard sometimes, being like, oh, it's a sacred place. Like, it's just a golf tournament. But there is something that sort of makes it unique within the world of golf, and it would be a real shame to lose that. I mean, you wrote a great thing about the sort of atmosphere of the first tee, and it's like one of the things that I love about the Masters, right, is there is no corporate sort of, setup there. Like, these players are playing for history, and they have to weave their way through this collection of rumpled sports writers and women in sundresses and billionaires in their green jackets and agents sort of hustling to, hear the gossip and the scuttlebutt. And it's like this great kind of organic thing. They just form a human tunnel. They don't even have ropes between you and the players. And we were standing there on Saturday, just kind of standing there. And Rory came by and he saw us, and he was kind of like, the look on his face was like, "What are you guys doing here?" Like, it was sort of funny.
Being rumpled sports writer.
I know these guys.
Yeah.
And, I just think that's kind of part of what makes it special. And if any of that goes away, I just feel like something's lost that you can't really get back.
Yeah, that's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there, and all of a sudden you're next to Rafa or whoever,
Sure.
and they're just meandering with the people.
Mostly you have the same rights as Travis Kelce, which is kind of amazing. Like, when you're standing there, I was like,
he was out there Saturday.
So.
I just, for me, it's just the merch thing. I don't know, canceled merch, just empty it. Just I don't know what you do, but it's fine.
I don't know. I think they could fix the merch thing by just having an online store where everybody buys it.
Yeah.
And it's like, the thing that's crazy to me about the merch is like, these people, it's like you're going to the Masters for the one time in your life. And I get you want to get a keepsake. I understand that. I get you want to get keepsakes. But it's like they wait in line for 2 hours. They shop for an hour. Then they got to run the bags back to their car. And it's like half your day's gone.
Yeah.
Well, someone noted, I think it was from Bunker, that like the crowd around the honorary starters was sparser than normal. But yet the merch line was over an hour wait. And it's like, that's where I think you're getting a little out of bounds. Like, you are coming to a shopping event with a little bit of golf. I don't know. I just think that's.
I mean, Jack Nicklaus, maybe there's some Jack and Gary fatigue.
Yeah.
But like, Jack's probably not going to hit the ceremonial tee shot for many more years. Even he kind of was like, well, I'm getting kind of old. I don't know how many more years I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
He hit this low hook. He said, I don't play golf more than once a year. And even then I'm in a cart. So it's like, he doesn't, he's not a golfer anymore, but this one ritual gets him up going for it. And there's this person who kind of helped make the Masters what it is. And it's kind of like people can't be bothered by it. And I think, man, when the first year I went to the Masters, Arnold Palmer was there, and he came out for the ceremonial tee shot. He was really ill. He died, probably 4 months later.
Yep.
And they were really trying to encourage him to hit one more shot. Jack was like, just take a putter. And there was like tears in his eyes.
Yep.
And he and Gary were both crying because they knew it was the last time that Arnie was going to be it. And it was such a kind of special thing. And everybody around could sort of feel that. And maybe that's a testament to Arnie, but like that is kind of gone. And I don't know.
There's a lot of reels. That's what drove me. I know it fed into it. Like, every time I open my Instagram, it's like more reels of people showing the 800 things they bought. And I'm just like, is that why more what's being celebrated about this tournament now? I don't know. Anyways, that got out of balance. Anything else? I think, honestly, this is for the end of the show. We didn't talk about Fred Ridley's Wednesday thing much. We'll talk about that at another time. I think there's a tension that's probably that seems to be quite clear between the majors, certainly Augusta National, Brian Rolep's new era of leadership at the PGA Tour, that we'll probably discuss in detail. I don't know if we need to go into it right now, quite frankly. But that was a big takeaway from this week, because it's.
I think we could do a whole thing of that when we're in Scotland.
We will. We're off to Scotland, the three of us. Maybe we'll give it to the boys, the baton to the boys.
The boys might be to Wednesday's show. It might be just boys solo.
Yeah,
all right.
It was going to be cooler I would say at like the 6th hole than maybe it is currently. But
You mean if Cam had won?
yeah,
We'll be fine.
You should
we
ask
will
him.
be fine.
Ask him to come on and have a little debrief
Yeah.
about what went right.
I'm
what
worried
wrong.
about if Cam's ever coming back to the boys.
I'm not concerned.
I'm not worried about that.
I mean, Joseph was getting clocked by all the relatives and out there but like the Cam Young, like Team Young, they knew Joseph quite well. He's sort of the whisperer of the Team Young. It seems like it's pretty fun to watch that happen. All right, I think that does it for our final show from Augusta.
Thanks for reading our stuff this
The
week.
26th.
Yeah.
Kevin obviously has elevated us in a major way, and it was awesome to see you cook. We had you at the Ryder Cup, but just in the nascent days of your time here. But
First, a lot of great stuff from Joseph, who's on top of Cam Watch, Gerard Watch.
Gerard, that's a cool
Kind of
story.
a tough day today.
Yeah.
I
Where did
just
he
saw.
finish?
He's had a really
39th
rough
or
day
something.
today, but he's said that he's going to talk about it. So
Ryan's a cool dude. He was great. So that's good
And
content.
he
We
balls.
have some
I mean,
bad bike etiquette over there from the boys.
It's fine.
One bad day did not diminish like a great Masters for a person that experienced it all a lot. It was fun to read those dispatches.
Read Kevin on FridayGolf.com or thefriday.com.
Please subscribe to our newsletter.
That would be a good thing.
Subscribe to the newsletter. Go buy a new Mercedes if it suits you.
Visit beachratty.com. Use SPS30.
30. Hey, we are very lucky that anyone listens, anyone reads, anyone cares that we're able to do this. We have a blast. No matter the tournament, it's just a blast to be able to come to the Masters and cover it and get in the weeds with this. Hopefully our output has served that purpose and served your time because we don't take it lightly. So
Shout out to Cam for his great photos. too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cameron Hurtis,
sitting over
Design
there.
disasters.
said he will
Maybe
come
he
as
might
long as
fall
they'll have
asleep.
him.
May have
Incredible
fall asleep,
photographer.
For Adam, our editor back home,
Adam.
he shoveled a lot of copy. that
He
we
was
did.
incredible. He had a lot thrown at him.
Will Graves, Gravy Boy,
Yeah.
Graphics Boy.
We got a lot of compliments about our output, and Adam is a big part of being able to.
Austin on the socials.
Austin on the socials. We have a great team here, and
really do.
it's not just the people speaking right now. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, reading. We will be back with
Business
you.
Pete.
Business Pete. We just got some DoorDash. Thank you. We'll submit that to Business Pete.
We had a great meal at Reinhardt's. We can just keep going on here. It's thanking all the people.
Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Taco Cat.
We'll be back. We'll be back Wednesday in some form or fashion. Maybe it'll be boys. Maybe it'll be us from Scotland. Thanks again for listening all week. Talk to you soon.